This is Adam Graham from Pretty Much the Present, bringing you a week of old-time radio podcasts. These episodes were originally released back in 2011, and we're releasing them here pretty much as is, with only some extraneous bits such as the opening from all of the episodes after the first episode removed. Because these are old, it should be noted that any offers or promotions mentioned in the episode may not be valid unless they're currently mentioned on the Great Detectives website. Here now is a week of old-time radio detective podcast. Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham. If you have a comment, email it to me, box13@greatdetectives.net. Be sure to cast your vote for the show on Podcast Alley, podcastalley.greatdetectives.net. And become one of our friends on Facebook, facebook.com/Radio Detectives. Well, before we get started today, I want to encourage you to pick up a copy of Tales of the Dim Night, available at dimnight.com. It's my wife and I's superhero comedy novel. I think that you will enjoy it. You can learn more, get sample chapters over at dimnight.com. Well, we're going to get into today's episode of Barrie Craig. This one is called The Case of the Naughty Necklace, and here it is.
William Gargan stars as Barrie Craig, confidential investigator.
The trouble with murder as an occupation, folks, is that it doesn't last very long. In no time at all, you come to a dead end.
The National Broadcasting Company presents William Gargan in another transcribed drama of mystery and adventure with America's #1 detective, Barrie Craig, confidential investigator.
Barrie Craig speaking. An investigator's license costs only a few bucks. When you're starting in the business, you've got ambition. So you have the license put under glass and framed. You spend a couple of hours deciding on the best place to hang it. Then you find out all you've done is bought yourself a front seat for the back stairs. But you also find out an awful lot of people use the back stairs. It's open.
Craig?
Yeah.
You alone?
They're a mice. They're tame, though.
I wonder if you're the man I'm looking for, Craig.
You'll have to figure that out by yourself.
It says confidential investigator on your door.
I had that put on myself. Maybe I was boasting.
Small place. What's this door?
Leads to the back stairs.
Yes?
You want to look under the desk, too?
I have to be careful. How much money do you make a month?
Not enough to have my clothes made by your tailor.
I think perhaps you'll do.
Thanks.
This is what you'll work with.
An envelope?
Take a look inside.
All right. Money.
Count it.
Uh-huh. 5,000.
Yes. I want you to buy a necklace for me, Craig.
For $5,000.
That's right.
You got any preferences in necklaces?
A girl named Wendy Harper has the one I want. She lives at the Beecham Towers Hotel.
Maybe she's got more than one.
Oh, no. The necklace is pearl. You buy it from her, turn it over to me, and collect $500.
You don't like the Beecham Towers Hotel?
Oh, what's that got to do with
You
it?
could go over there, buy the necklace yourself, and save my fee.
I could also be sued for divorce.
Meaning you can't afford to be seen with her. Fair enough.
I'd like a receipt for the $5,000.
Sure. Received from... From?
You don't need that.
How will I get in touch with him?
I'll phone you.
Okay. Your receipt.
Thanks. I suggest you begin work at once.
Right. Oh, one thing.
Yes?
Suppose she doesn't want to sell.
She'll sell.
You're sure the necklace is worth $5,000?
Yes, I should be. I gave it to her.
I congratulated myself cautiously. A case a week like this, and I could start getting my clothes tailored, too. I locked the office door. Who knows? Word might get around I was a man people handed $5,000 to. It would give the entire building, all 3 moldering stories of it, class. Burglars might start dropping in. Oh, hello, Jake.
Hey, Mr. Craig.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I'm going down.
Don't rush it. The elevator's got to have time to rest.
After the long pull?
Yeah. Got to rest your horse at the end of a furrow, you know.
Jake, forget about that farm in Vermont, will you? You're in the big city now.
I'd rather have a horse. If you was in such a hurry, why didn't you walk down?
Too proud. I've just moved into the upper income bracket.
That so?
Thanks. By the way, Jake, did you notice the man you took down from my floor a couple of minutes ago?
No.
Had your nose buried in the farmer's almanac?
I didn't take nobody down.
Oh. Well, that was my client.
Who was?
The man you didn't take down. I don't suppose you took him up either.
No?
Used the stairs both times. The back stairs, hmm? Jake,
Yeah?
when was the last time those back stairs were swept?
I don't know. I only been here 6 months.
Yeah.
Mr. Craig,
What?
must get kind of lonely up there on the 3rd floor.
Sort of. Why?
Oh, just wondering. You sure you had a client?
I smiled at Jake. I could feel the fat envelope in my pocket. $5,000 carries a lot of conviction.
Good afternoon, sir.
Miss Harper.
She expecting you?
Phone up to her, and she will be.
Yes, sir. The name?
Craig.
One moment, sir. Miss Harper? There's a gentleman here to see you, Mr. Craig. Yes, of course, Miss Harper. 407. Miss Harper's expecting you.
Thanks. The Beecham Towers was a lot nicer looking than the building on 23rd. But then I didn't use the back stairs. Miss Harper, I figured, was leaving it all up to me. 407 was a suite. You walk past the small foyer before you hit the living room. It was a nice living room. The furniture was modern and bright. There was a wrong note, though. Miss Wendy Harper. She was on the couch. She looked modern and bright, too. The wrong note? She happened to be dead. Her eyes were open. For a minute, I had the impression they were looking at me. I couldn't decide if they liked what they saw, or if they were looking over my shoulder, the way I should have looked. Yeah. Oh, all right. A little late, friend. What do you want?
I'm Clancy, the house detective.
Good for you.
Now, you're in my way.
You're not coming in.
Now, listen. The old lady in the next suite heard a woman screaming from here.
When?
A few minutes ago.
She needs new batteries for a hearing aid. What time is it?
7:30.
Nobody screamed in here for at least a couple of hours.
Where's Miss Harper?
She's in.
I want to talk to her.
You're going to be disappointed. Miss Harper's in no mood for conversation.
I'd like her to tell me that.
Lots of things we'd like just never happen.
Hey, what's the idea? Hey,
You want to get in here? Take my advice. Call a cop.
Hey.
I slammed the door shut in Clancy's face. Clancy was guessing. He wasn't sure. Maybe I was just a boyfriend with a temper. He'd stand around and wonder what to do for a while before trying to come into the room again. That gave me time enough to go through the suite, make sure it was empty, make sure Miss Harper was still dead. She was. They don't come alive very often. And then check on a pearl necklace. There wasn't one around. I hadn't figured there would be. By that time, I was in a hurry. This time, I was the one for the back stairs. I was picking up time with every step I took. But time for what? The back door led to an alley. I had ash cans for company. A man named Nothing, whom no one had seen, for a client, and a crude frame-up for murder as a future. I had no optimism about my chances for playing tag with the homicide squad. The cops had a name for me. I had no name for the man who'd sent me to visit a dead girl. No name, no lead, nothing but a hope that whoever had set up the deal would be too impatient to wait for the morning papers. Up the street, the Marines were coming. I said goodbye to the alley before they could land, made the other side of the street, and waited. The hotel was on a quiet street. No crowds. Nobody watched the cops pour into the hotel. Nobody but me and a small man pretending he was part of a doorway down the street. The last cop went into the hotel, and the small man abandoned the doorway. He didn't know it, but he had me for company. It was easy. The small man wasn't worrying. According to the general idea, I was being interviewed by a dozen cops at the moment. He led me across town with no trouble. The address was 5413 East 79th Street. The house was old. The ivy on its walls was probably hand-picked. The small man used the servant's entrance. I decided to be formal. A brass plate under the doorbell read John Peter Kendall. I thought he'd be surprised to see me on his doorstep. I was surprised.
Yes?
Mrs. Kendall?
I'm Mrs. Kendall.
Good.
I beg your...
You're excused. Better shut the door.
Are you a salesman?
Not exactly.
Well, you're big enough, heavens knows, but you don't look very dangerous. So?
Thank you. Mr. Kendall home?
I don't think so. I don't know.
I guess it is a pretty large house.
It is. Also, John and I don't get on very well together. So why am I telling you this?
Maybe because I look reliable and a little stupid.
That's silly. It's not very hospitable keeping you out here in the hall.
It's not.
But I intend to continue doing it unless you can give me a reason. For your being here, I mean.
I do insurance work.
Oh?
Your husband hired me to trace some property of his.
Well, he must have been very anxious about it if he asked you to come here at this hour.
He was anxious.
Strange.
Why?
Dear John has so much property.
Oh, this was something special.
And confidential?
It used to be.
What does that mean?
Lost any pearl necklaces recently, Mrs. Kendall?
Why, yes, I did.
That's what he wanted me to trace.
Oh. Please come with me, Mr.
Jones.
Jones. Wait here a moment.
All right.
Mr. Jones.
Yes?
This is the necklace I lost.
It looked like $5,000, too. Mrs. Kendall, her price tag wasn't showing.
Well, Mr. Jones?
When did you get it back?
John brought it to me, perhaps an hour ago.
An hour ago? Then he is home.
He said he might go out for a stroll. I didn't try to translate. A stroll in John's peculiar vocabulary could mean almost anything.
You asked him where he got the necklace?
No. I assumed he'd hired someone like you to find it for him. Mr. Jones.
Yes?
What are you really after?
Will you see if your husband's home, please?
All right. Mr. Jones?
What?
Are you sure you're doing something for my husband? Not to him?
She didn't wait for an answer. It was very still in the Kendall home. I wondered how well Kendall had covered his relationship to Wendy Harper. Pretty well, I thought. There were no cops around. Mrs. Kendall was taking a long time. Too long a time. Mrs. Kendall! Mrs. Kendall!
I'm here.
Where's the light?
No, he might shoot again. Never mind. It's gone. The light switch, the wall to your left.
Okay.
Oh, frightened. So frightened.
What?
I was talking to Max. He's our handyman. I'd asked him about John.
That's Max over there?
Yes. Max started to tell me something about... Oh, it's crazy. About a hotel. When John opened the door, he'd been listening. He had a gun. It was dreadful. Dreadful.
Here, sit down. I'll have to take a look at Max.
All right. I don't know. He'd been there or seen something. He was staring at me as though he were terrified. And then the door opened behind him. I could see John's face. And after that, the shots came.
You'll have to phone the police. Yeah, I can't stay. I've got a date. Mrs. Kendall, where would your husband go if he didn't want to be found?
John? I don't know.
You must know. A man as wealthy as he is.
Well, he's got a place on the Sound. It's only a shack, sort of a boathouse.
What's the address?
Riverview Road, right off the parkway.
I'll find it. You'll be all right. The police will...
Mr. Jones, why was Max shot?
Why? My benefit, mostly.
Your benefit?
Yeah, his death moves me right out of the chair.
I don't understand.
You don't have to, for right now. I've got an errand to run, to convey thanks and make a payment.
Hey, Bud.
Yeah?
Kind of late to be driving out to the Sound, ain't it?
You mind?
Nah, I don't mind. As long as you got the fare.
I've got the fare.
Only reason I brung it up is, not many cars going out this way this time of night.
Yeah, I guess so.
So the car behind us must be tailing us.
Car behind?
Yeah. Been there last half an hour. It's got one headlight weaker than the other, kind of stuck in my mind.
Don't worry about it.
I don't want no trouble.
There won't be any, for you.
Riverview Road, Bud. That the shack up ahead?
Yeah. The other car.
Didn't swing around a bend. Was with us up until then.
Nice. How much do I owe you?
Couple of bucks.
Here you are.
Thanks. How about me hanging around for a while?
No, it might discourage my friends.
The guy on your tail?
Uh-huh. Good night.
Go on.
Who's that?
Craig. Barrie Craig. Recognize the name, Mr. Kendall?
What do you want?
Hard talking through a door.
Don't try anything, Craig.
You don't need that gun.
Let's not agree about that.
It's cold out here.
Come in. Slowly.
Thanks.
Over there at the table. Sit down.
Okay.
Put both hands on the table, please.
Everybody knows all the angles nowadays, except maybe me.
Why did you come out here?
I had a report to make.
Report?
Sure, don't you remember? You hired me.
Oh, well,
Funny thing. 9 times out of 10, people who hire me don't expect me to believe them or to carry out their orders exactly the way they gave them. They're always working on an angle.
Well, what's so funny about that?
I always believe my clients. I do my best to carry out their orders the way they say they want them to be. That gets me into more trouble.
You're wasting time.
And you don't have much time left?
You said you had a report to make.
Sorry. That necklace you hired me to get.
Well?
Back in your wife's possession.
You gave it to her?
No, you did.
It's a little late for jokes.
No jokes. You can check with your wife. Not only that, Mr. Kendall, the whole deal worked out a lot cheaper than you expected.
What do you mean?
$5,000 is a lot of money. One girl's life, a lot cheaper.
You've still got the money?
Yeah.
Now, don't reach.
Stop being so nervous. I was just getting this. $5,000.
And Wendy?
What do you think?
Well, I don't understand what you mean.
You've had time enough to get here, so I'd better get rid of this light. Your gun, Kendall. I'll need it. Don't move around, Kendall. It's dark in here. Our mystery man outside hasn't got artillery, only a revolver. We're safe for right now.
Well, I don't know what's happening.
Shut up. He's moving around, waiting. We can wait, too.
But for what?
He's got to make up his mind. If we're dead or not. You'll have to check. Till then, let's chat, huh? A man comes into my office, hands me $5,000, instructs me to buy a pearl necklace from a girl in a hotel.
I don't...
It's my story. The guy uses the back stairs, doesn't leave his name. I take the dough, get to the hotel, walk into the girl's suite, and get knocked out. The girl is dead.
But I
you
didn't...
keep interrupting. I wake up to find the old lady next door has heard a woman scream and yelled for the house stick. He's at the door. He's supposed to walk in, find the dead girl, and me with $5,000 in cash on me. He calls homicide. I tell my story to them. How do you think they go for it?
I don't know. I don't...
Don't overdo it. It's plain enough. My client is a work of the imagination, they say. I knocked the girl off for a dough. Very simple and very pretty.
Well, then who is that outside?
When I got to the hotel, I had to be announced. The clerk called upstairs. He held a conversation with Miss Harper. He told me she said it was okay to go on up. But Wendy Harper was already dead.
Well, then...
Shh. Junior's making his bid. Okay, drop it.
What?
I said drop it, Junior. You've got the moonlight behind you.
No.
I don't like it, but...
Oh!
Got a match, Kendall?
Yes, I have.
Let's have a light then, huh?
Oh, all right.
Over here. Yeah, the hotel clerk. He's registered his last guest. Death. John Peter Kendall didn't have any comments to make. He stared at the dead clerk as though he'd never seen a corpse before. Maybe he hadn't. He was my client, wasn't he? Let's get out of here.
Yes, but what about him?
He's dead.
Well, isn't there something we should do?
There's nothing you do about the dead.
Well, I mean, he was killed.
Yeah?
Well, the police?
You're in the clear on this particular death. What are you worrying about?
I suppose you know better than I.
Also, I've got the gun, so...
All right.
Yeah. The clerk's car is out here. How about yours?
I came here by cab.
That can be checked.
I still say I came here by cab.
Okay, we'll borrow the car. Hold it. That's on this road.
The police.
Sounds like them. Of course, they could be on their way to a ball. Would you like to stay and chat with them?
No. There are too many things, and I'm confused.
Where's Riverview Road lead?
To the city.
I mean the other way.
Well, it sort of peters out about a half mile from here.
No good. We take one look at the corpse and come after us. With the road a dead end only a half mile away, we'd be finished. Come on.
Well, we could drive toward the city.
You think they'd let us pass if they're heading here? Forget it. We'll leave the car where it is. Who planted these trees?
I had them put there.
Oh, good for you. You should have planted them a little more thickly, however. We get in among them. This ought to be good enough.
But any search would...
Find us? Sure. But maybe... Uh-oh, here they come. A squad car and a taxi. Yeah, the cab I came out in. The driver spotted the clerk tailing me. He must have hung around down the road and heard the shots, and then went back to town and collected police. They've checked the car. Empty. Now for the house. In a half dozen seconds, they'll be popping out of there looking for us. Come on. Maybe we can make the cab. The driver left it out in the road proper.
What good does that do? The squad car...
Don't worry about that. Get into the cab and start it.
All right.
Me, I'm going to be nasty to a tire. Yeah. Get going. Fine.
Well, what did you do?
Screw the tire valve open on the squad car. The clerk's car is blocked off, so they'll have to change the tire. Maybe we'll have enough time.
The police won't like it.
How very true. You know, Mr. Kendall, I'm in trouble. Not only am I wanted for murder, but now for committing a nuisance on police property. I was glad we weren't close enough to hear the cops discuss their flat tire. I think their language would have been frightful. Hey, take it easy, Mr. Kendall. We don't want a ticket, too.
We're almost back in the city. Where do you want to go?
Home and sleep, but not just yet.
Well, then...
Let's make it your home, huh?
My home?
The mansion you and your wife play hide and seek in, except both of you seem to be hiding rather than seeking.
If you don't mind, I could do without your wit.
So could I if I had any. Mr. Kendall.
Yes?
The whole thing started with a necklace, a pearl necklace.
That's right.
You didn't bother telling me it had belonged to your wife before you passed it on to Wendy Harper.
It hadn't belonged to my wife.
Then why all the anxiety about getting it back?
Well, she found out about it through the jeweler where I bought it. I had to pretend I'd gotten it for her as a surprise.
That meant you had to get it back from Wendy. It would have looked bad in the divorce case. And Wendy wouldn't part except for $5,000.
That's right. Do we have to?
We do. Come on. Better not ring. Your handyman wouldn't answer.
Max?
He's dead, too.
What?
Use your key.
Why, I can't take much more of this.
There won't be much more. Go on. Hello, Mrs. Kendall.
Mr. Jones. And John.
You started to say Mr. Craig.
What?
The name is Craig. Where are the cops?
About Max.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't phoned them yet. I was ill after you left. Terribly ill. I still don't feel right.
That hotel clerk doesn't feel right either.
What hotel clerk? You sound like Max.
The one who sent me up to Wendy Harper's room. The one who had a conversation with Wendy Harper after she was dead.
This is all completely...
Isn't it?
John, what's happening? Why are you staring at me like that?
He doesn't love you anymore.
Oh, you...
No. Let's keep it genteel. Kendall?
Yes?
Call some cops, huh?
Police?
Yeah. They want to take Max to the morgue. Max who led me to your wife and died for it. And even more, they'll want your wife. It had been a long evening. I'd stayed ahead of homicide for a while, but they always catch up.
Craig,
Lieutenant Trav Rogers.
give me one good reason why your license shouldn't be revoked.
Mrs. Joanne Kendall.
I said a good reason.
What else could I have done, Trav?
You're not trying to tell me you were afraid of the frame.
I never tried to tell a lieutenant of homicide anything. No, I wasn't. But I had a job to do. I got it done, too.
You could have been killed in the process.
Oh, there's a law against that.
Oh. Craig, we got the whole thing laid out. The Kendall woman moved in on what looked like a perfect opportunity to get rid of Wendy Harper, frame you for the killing, and have a club over her husband's head for the rest of his life. Because he'd hired you, all she had to do was threaten to tell us about that, and he'd be tied in. But where did you get the bright idea it was Mrs. Kendall who set you up and not her husband?
Clancy, the house dick at the Beecham Towers.
Huh?
He came up and told me an old lady had heard a woman scream a couple of minutes before I regained consciousness. The Harper girl had been dead for hours then.
So it had to be Mrs. Kendall screaming. To get Clancy up and you arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Buy me a beer.
Well, we'll go out and have beers, but what makes you think it's going to be on me?
You just made $500, remember?
Holy smokes.
What now?
I forgot to collect. Good night, folks. See you next week.
You have been listening to William Gargan in another exciting transcribed mystery drama from the adventures of Barrie Craig, confidential investigator. Tonight's story, The Case of the Naughty Necklace, was written by Lou Vittes. Next week, it's the strange story of paper bullets, about which Barrie Craig has this to say.
Next week, folks, I find out that words can be bullets when two prize-winning authors do their literary best to prove the gun is mightier than the pen. See you next week, folks.
Featured in the role of Mrs. Kendall was Barbara Weeks. Barrie Craig, starring William Gargan, was under the direction of Hyman Brown. This is Don Pardo speaking.
Now enjoy Meredith Wilson's Music Room on NBC.
Welcome back. Well, I didn't quite see why he went to so much trouble to avoid the police, particularly since he does have such a good working relationship with Trav Rogers and Homicide. I have to admit, having him not collect the money is an interesting approach to keeping him poor, but which is kind of a prerequisite. Also, the voice of the elevator man sounded the same as the voice of the sheriff from many of the Thin Man episodes we played several months back. All right, well, now we turn to listener comments and feedback. First, we go over to Facebook. David says, Barrie Craig is one of my favorite old-time radio detectives, surpassed only by Johnny Dollar. Then we got an email from Mark on the app. He says, good morning, I love your app. The shows and sound quality are great. I do have a couple of questions. When I go back and listen to prior shows as early as February 11th, am I using data on my phone? I'm not downloading, but just listening. As I understand it, you should not be having a download issue occur if you're not downloading anything. Also, is there a quicker way to access the older shows? Thanks, Mike. Mike, there's not a quicker way with the app. You can go to greatdetectives.net and go to our archives page. And on the archives page, we have a log of all the shows we did, sorted out by the episode, by the show name. And so I would encourage that option. Thanks so much for the email. I'm glad you're enjoying the app. Well, that'll do it for today. We'll be back tomorrow with Rogues Gallery. Before we get started, I do want to let you know about Audible. If you don't have time to keep up on your reading, Audible can be a great help to you, as you can enjoy books and listen to them wherever you happen to go, whether you're in your car or on your commute or walking through the store. You can listen to the latest New York Times bestseller or a mystery classic. Plus, in addition to audiobooks, Audible also offers a wide variety of radio dramas, including some from the BBC and the Colonial Radio Theaters. With Audible, you get one audiobook a month, plus 30% off any other purchases. You can try Audible out for free by going to audibletrial.com/greatdetectives. That's audibletrial.com/greatdetectives to begin your free trial. Now today's episode, Murder at Minden.
The F.W. Fitch Company, makers of those fine Fitch products, presents Dick Powell as Private Investigator Richard Rogue in Rogues Gallery.
Hello, Richard Rogue speaking.
Hello, Mr. Rogue. This is Stark McVeigh in Minden, California.
Yeah?
I want to talk to you, Rogue.
Well, you're talking.
I want you to come up here to Minden and do a little job for me. I don't want you to let anybody in this town know who you are. You can register at the hotel as a traveling man, a salesman or something, and
hold it, McVeigh. I can't get away right now.
I wired you $500 expense money. It should be at your office now. We'll talk over the rest of the deal when you get here.
Oh, $5, huh? Well, what kind of a case is it?
A case that pays money. You can get out of there at 7 o'clock, and if you want to take a train...
I'll drive. I'll leave as soon as the 500 arrive. Take me about 2 hours to get there, won't it?
That's right. I'll contact you at the hotel tonight about 9.
Okay, see you then.
Hey, boy, get me a paper with it, please.
Carry your bag, sir? Oh, yeah. I want to check in. Here.
Thanks.
Hey, clerk.
Yes?
You got a room?
Well, I don't know.
No, I didn't ask the price, did I? I'll take anything from a broom closet to the bridal suite. Here, buy yourself a box of cigars to smoke while you're thinking it over.
Oh, thank you, sir. You'll just register. I think we can take care of you.
Thanks. Have my bag sent up, will you? I'll pick up my key in a minute. Hey, Sonny, got an evening paper?
Yes, sir, but all the news isn't in that paper, mister. Believe me.
What do you mean?
There was a murder in town tonight. Just a little while ago, as a matter of fact. A man was shot. Killed. Dead.
All that? Well, Minden is an enterprising community. Who got the business?
A fellow by the name of Stark McVeigh.
We'll return to our story in just a moment, but first here's Jim Doyle to give you some smooth talk on a smooth subject.
Yes, smooth is the word for it, Dick. That describes Fitch's No Brush shaving cream to a T. For it has a rich, creamy consistency that spreads over your face like a cool April breeze. There's nothing heavy or greasy about Fitch's No Brush, yet it does a man-sized job when it comes to wilting a tough beard. You see, Fitch's No Brush is a blend of 3 important shaving ingredients. These are balanced in such a way that you get efficiency in softening whiskers, plus a skin conditioning action that protects your skin from irritation. Yes, they all add up to a shave that's really solid comfort.
You men who say there's nothing like lather for a swell, smooth shave will like Fitch's Brush Cream. It gives lots of dense lather that stays moist all during the shave and rinses off easily. It, too, contains the special skin conditioner for sensitive skins.
Both Fitch's Brush and Fitch's No Brush shaving cream come in handy jars, big 25 and 50-cent sizes. For smoother, happier shaves, switch to Fitch. And now we return you to Dick Powell as Private Investigator Richard Rogue in Rogue's Gallery.
Well, this case looked like it was officially over before it started. The man I was working for had just been killed. I found that out while I was registering in Minden's only hotel with running water. A bellboy gave me the news, and while I was just standing there with my mouth hanging open, a big, beefy guy eased up to me and said,
"You're Richard Rogue, aren't you?"
"Oh, my name's Richard."
"Yeah, I know you're Rogue. I've seen your picture in the paper too often to be mistaken. I want to talk to you."
"Why?"
"Because I'm chief of police in this town."
Oh, well, you just want to have a social talk, huh?"
"Yeah, about a murder. Come on, Rogue, let's retire to the bar and play questions and answers."
"What about?"
"About what you're doing in town, among other things. Come on, get moving, big shot." All right, now, Rogue, suppose you start talking. What are you doing in Minden under the name of Richard?
"Hey, bartender, you put too much sugar in this old-fashioned."
"Oh, so you think I like to hear myself talk? I said, what are you doing here?"
"I'm on a vacation."
"Does a man named Stark McVeigh always finance your vacations?"
McVeigh. Yes, well, the name sounds familiar.
"I'll bet it does. He had a call in for you all day down at the city. He reached you at the Hunt Bar Room a little before 5 o'clock, and he wired you $500 to your office this afternoon." Maybe that's why his name sounds familiar.
Well, could be that.
Well, what was it that made McVeigh think he'd need you $500 worth, Rogue?
He didn't say. Who was McVeigh, anyway? I never met the guy. Never heard of him till he called me.
You think I'll believe that?
How do I know what you believe? I'm telling you the truth. That's all I can be sure of. And what's the idea of the pressure? You got ambitions to hang McVeigh's murder on me?
Uh-huh. You know he's been murdered. How did you know that?
Well, the bellboy told me.
Who did it, Rogue? Who was McVeigh afraid of?
I don't know anything about the guy. I didn't murder him. I hardly ever murder strangers. And now, thanks for the drink, and so long.
Wait a minute. You leaving town, Rogue?
I don't think so, no. I like the climate here. It's so peaceful.
Well, don't you leave without seeing me, or you'll come back with your hands cuffed behind you, lying down.
Oh, well, if there's anything I love, it's a clever conversationalist.
Huh?
Now, I'll make a rule, egghead. Don't put any of your rural gumshoes on my tail if you like them personally. I don't like to be shadowed. Come in.
Here's your ice water, Mr. Rogue.
The name is Richard.
Skip it. I heard you talking to Chief Reese. I know who you were anyway.
Oh, well, you're a smart lad, huh? Did you know Stark McVeigh?
Sure. He used to be around here quite a bit. In the bar.
What was his racket? What did he do for a living? How long had he been living here in Minden?
Nobody knows where he made his money. He didn't work since he moved here about 2 years ago. Retired, I guess. That's what everybody thought. Always seemed to have plenty of money.
Oh, he did, huh? Well, who were his friends? Was he married?
Look, if I'm going to answer all of those questions, I want to work on the case with you. You need somebody who knows the town. Now, I'm an ex-GI. I work with intelligence. I can be a big help to you.
Okay. Okay, you're working. Now, was McVeigh married?
No. Didn't run around with women much either. I mean, here. Some blonde came down to see him once in a while. Drove a Cadillac convertible. Looked like a movie star.
Did McVeigh make many trips? Was he out of town much?
He traveled quite a bit.
Did he have any enemies in town?
Nobody knew him well enough to hate him. He was a kind of a stranger, Mr. Rogue. Nobody got to know him very well.
He live alone?
Yeah. He had a woman come in a couple of times a week to clean up. That's all.
Good. Well, who do you think killed him?
I don't know.
Any suspicious-looking characters been seen around town lately?
Not that I know of. But they could have been here without me knowing it.
Okay. Hey, what's your name?
Buzz Walters.
What time are you off duty?
About an hour, 9 o'clock.
Good, I'll see you then. In the lobby, right?
Yeah. What are you going to do now?
Oh, I'm going out to the house, McVeigh's house, and take a look around.
You know where it is?
I'll find it. See you at 9.
Who is it?
Turn on the lights.
Who is it? Is that you, Hank?
Yeah. Turn on the lights.
Hey, you're not Hank. Who are you? What are you doing here?
Will you turn on the lights so we can talk this thing over, Junior? Oh, you're the guy who bumped McVeigh, huh? Okay, Junior.
Staying right where you are.
And let you shoot at me? That doesn't sound practical. I've got my gun out now. How about taking another shot so I can spot you?
Who are you? The law? Oh!
Okay, Junior. Throw that gun away.
Oh, don't shoot anymore. You hit me.
Let me hear that gun hit the wall. Throw it. Okay. Now, maybe we can talk. Keep your hands down to your sides.
Look, I'm shot. I'm bleeding. You got to do something for me.
Later. First, Junior, you're going to answer some questions. Hey.
Did I startle you?
Huh?
Just hold that pose. Who is this guy, Shorty?
I don't know. He came in here and I thought it was you. I took a shot at him but he got me.
Yeah, I see. Well?
You better get somebody to take care of your friend here. He's got a bad chest
Don't
wound.
let that worry you. You're gonna have worse before long. And we'll start you out like this.
Hiya, Rogie. Welcome home.
Oh, hello, Igor. How's everything on Cloud 8?
Oh, it's fine. Say, Rogie, I missed you last week.
Yeah. I had the flu. Yeah, didn't Dennis O'Keefe come up to see you?
Nah, not that Irishman. He doesn't use his head the way you do, Rogie. Say, who did it this time?
I don't know. But I'm gonna get him. If it's the last thing I do.
Oh, you better hurry back downstairs then. You're getting further away every minute.
Huh? What do you mean?
You've got a surprise coming, Rogie. You're a side door tourist right now.
Huh? Oh, well, that settles it. I'm going over the side. So long, Igor.
So long, Rogie.
Come on, fella. Come out of it.
Huh? Hey, this thing's moving.
Sure, friend. It's okay. You're in a freight car.
A freight car?
Well, it seems somebody rapped you over the skull and threw you in here.
Who?
I don't know. You were here when I got here. Don't worry, you'll be okay.
Well, thanks for the first aid. Where are we?
Well, about 10 miles out of Minden. This red ball got a hot box and was held up. We're on the big grade going into the mountains.
Thanks. Hey, what do you got around my head?
Yeah, you were bleeding. I tore up your shirt and made a bandage of it.
Oh, thanks.
Hey, wait a minute. Where are you going?
I'm going to jump out of this thing.
Are you crazy?
Could be. Hey, look. I've still got my wallet.
You have?
How come you didn't lift it?
I didn't think of it.
Oh, you're an honest man. Here, here's a 20. Thanks.
Okay.
Well, here goes nothing.
So long.
Hey, ride. Hey, driver. Ride. Driver. You going into Minden?
Yeah. What happened to you?
Well, I was knocked out and robbed and left on the road. I got to get back to Minden to report it to the cops.
Okay, buddy. I wouldn't leave anybody out here. But I got a revolver here and don't try any funny stuff.
Oh, me? Oh, I don't want to try anything. I just want to get back to Minden.
I'll take you into Minden. Get in.
Thanks. You can let me out here.
Oh, no. Just stay right where you are.
Hey, what's the idea? Will you get that heater out of my face?
I'll tell you where to get out.
Oh? Well, when will that be?
When we get to the police station. That's where you're going, mister. So I brought him in here to the police station, Chief. He looks suspicious to me.
Yeah, nice work, Mr. Pollard. We'll take care of him, thanks.
I hope I did the right thing.
Yeah, you sure did. Thanks for the ride, Mr. Pollard. Goodbye.
You just go right ahead, Pollard. I'll see you later.
Oh, Chief.
Huh?
There's no reward, is there?
No. So long.
Oh. So long.
Well,
I see you're back, Rogue. I told you you'd get in trouble nosing around in this town. Now, you gonna talk?
Well, I haven't much to say, Reese. I went out to McVeigh's house. The door was open. I walked in. Some guy took a shot at me. I shot back. Got him, and while I was trying to find out what it was all about, another guy sneaked up behind me and bent a rod over my head. I woke up in a freight train 10 miles out of town. This Pollard gave me a ride in, and that's the end of the story.
Well, how do you figure it?
I don't know, but I want to get back out to that house. You coming with me?
Well, what do you expect to find out there? We combed the house from one end to the other.
Well, there's something going on in your charming little town that needs taken care of, Chief. And how come you don't have men at that house? There was a murder there a few hours ago.
Now, don't you tell me my business, Rogue.
Something smells. Come on. Let's get out to McVeigh's house. I want to do a little combing myself.
Now, you'd better stay in line, Rogue. After all, I'm the chief here, and
Yeah. I've read your star. I don't know whether you're a dumb chief or a smart operator. But we're going to McVeigh's house, and we're going to tear it to pieces until I get a lead. Now, come on. I'll try the door. Don't knock, it may be open.
Okay. Well, close the door.
All right. No, the lights don't work. The main switch must be pulled.
We'll get by with this flashlight. Come on, let's take a look around.
Hey. You see where that lamp is on the floor over there?
Yeah.
Well, the guy who was shooting at me was lying right by the side of it after I got him.
Oh.
Look, there's blood on the floor. You see it?
What was that?
Seemed to come from that closet. Somebody's in there.
Well, come on out. Come on out, or I'll shoot that door so full of holes we can pull you out through them.
Okay, I'll come out.
Well, hello, Buzz. Welcome to the party.
What are you doing here?
Well, Mr. Rogue told me he was coming out here, and he was supposed to be back to meet me in the lobby at 9 o'clock. He didn't come back, so I decided I'd run out here and look for him.
You got here a little late, Buzz.
Oh, no, I didn't. Well, I was a little late to do you any good, but I saw plenty. I saw them walking around.
Wait a minute. What do you mean, them?
2 men and a girl. The blonde girl that used to come here to see Mr. McVeigh.
Oh, you mean she was here?
Yep. I hid outside of the window and watched them. They were carrying stuff up from the basement. That is, the girl and this man were, and putting it in the car.
Buzz, did you hear them talk? Did the girl mention his name?
No, she just called him sweetheart or honey or something like that. There was something funny about the other guy.
What?
He never did come out. The other two came out, got into that Cadillac convertible, and drove away about 10 minutes ago.
Well, then there must still be a man in the house.
Yep, he'd been shot. He had trouble getting around.
Must have been the guy I shot.
I've been looking for him.
Well, why didn't you call me?
I was working for Mr. Rogue. I know he'd be here.
Oh, good boy, Buzz. Now, come on, let's shake this house down. If that thug is in here, we better find him before he finds us. Wow, this is the best-kept basement I ever saw in a bachelor's house, Buzz. How about it?
It's sure clean.
Hey, look, there are a few muddy footsteps going this way.
They're going both ways, Mr. Rogue.
Yeah, right over here and then back out. That's funny. They walk right up to this blank wall and then back again.
Maybe the stuff they were carrying out of the basement was stacked up against the wall.
I doubt it.
Hey, there's nobody up here. Shook down every room, every closet up here. There's nobody.
Well, we're even. There's nobody down here either.
I tell you, that guy they called Shorty never came out of the house. I was watching and I know he didn't.
You're imagining things, kid. People don't just disappear. If he was here, we could see him now, couldn't we?
If we could find him. I've got an idea.
Yeah?
Oh, there must be a hidden door or something in this wall here someplace.
Oh, now, wait a minute, Rogue.
Okay. So I've been reading too many comic books, but I'm making my guess, and I'm going to see if I'm right. You see these footprints coming over here and going back again?
Yeah.
That's what it is. Maybe there's a loose tile in the wall or something.
Yeah. Listen now. There it is, Reese. You die hard. You hear that? It's hollow in there. Now, come on. Let's figure this thing out.
Hey, here is a loose tile. Right here.
Huh? Let me see. Yeah.
Well, I'll be...
Are you sure you're surprised, Sheriff?
Why,
There's a regular doorknob in there.
Yeah, there is.
Well, it's locked, but I think I can take care of that. Look out. Now, that ought to do it. Flash your light in there, Reese.
Okay.
Oh, brother, look at that.
Huh?
Hey, he's dead.
We'll return to our story in just a moment. But now I'd like to ask the ladies a question. Have you ever had the shampoo blues? The shampoo blues, of course, is that dejected feeling you get when your hair becomes dry and unmanageable after a shampoo. If that's been your experience, then here's a way to beat those blues. Try Fitch's Saponified Coconut Oil Shampoo. Use this clear, golden liquid shampoo as often as you like. It will never leave your hair dry or difficult to manage. That's because Fitch's Saponified Shampoo is made from pure, natural oils. Just a little makes oceans of cleansing lather. Rinses out easily, too, for Fitch's Saponified Shampoo contains its own patented rinsing agent. It leaves your hair soft, lustrous, and easy to manage even right after you shampoo it. Yes, you can always use Fitch's Saponified Shampoo with complete confidence and freedom from the shampoo blues. So use it regularly. Buy an economical bottle at your drug or toilet goods counter, or ask for a professional application at your beauty shop. And now we return to Dick Powell as Private Investigator Richard Rogue in Rogue's Gallery.
Well, you could have knocked me down with an atom bomb when we opened that secret door in the basement of McVeigh's house and saw what was inside. There was an air-conditioned room, with fluorescent lighting and strictly occupational furniture. And sitting at the table in the swivel chair was the body of the man named Shorty. Buzz, the bellboy, said,
Hey! He's dead!
Yeah, they let him have one. Right through the temple.
Good Lord. 2 murders in one day in Minden.
That'll put the place on the map, won't it?
I wonder why they killed him.
Well, it looks pretty simple to me. I got him through the chest when he shot at me, and a wounded man is kind of a handicap to a mob that's trying to make a getaway with a set of counterfeit plates.
Counterfeit? Is that what they were doing?
Yeah. This place is one of the best equipped engraving shops I've ever been in. You knew that right away, didn't you, Reese?
Oh, sure.
Right there. That's what McVeigh's racket was, huh?
Yeah. Come on, let's take a look around.
Here. Looky here.
What did you find?
Exhibit A. A whole stack of $10 bills.
Let me see. Yeah. All with the same serial numbers. Oh, there's phonies, the coarse girl's accent. Well, Reese, let's get back to town and get some post-mortem fingerprints off your late pal, McVeigh. And some information on the license number Buzz got off that Cadillac.
Do you think we'll get him, Mr. Rogue?
Oh, we're a lead pipe cinch, Buzz. You know, if you hadn't been sharp enough to jot down that license number, we'd have been out of luck. Even Reese can trace that.
Yeah, think it could use a guy like me. Regular, Mr. Rogue?
Oh, well, I'm sorry, kid. I'm a lone wolf. But you'll make some dough out of this case. You can bet your shirt there's a reward out for this mob, and we'll split it.
Oh.
You know, Junior, if you hadn't been around that house and seen those 2 drive away without Shorty, this crime may have never been solved.
That's right, I guess. Nobody would ever have looked for the secret room. You know, I've always wanted to be a detective.
Well, Rogie, the Department of Motor Vehicles says this is the address that car's registered to. Miss Sylvia Adams, 1924 Euclid Avenue in Los Angeles.
Well, that makes it my meat, Reese.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Buzz. You want to drive to L.A. with me?
Sure, Mr. Rogue. I want to be in at the kill on this case.
Well, this is the house. Miss Sylvia Adams, 1924 Euclid Avenue.
What are we going to do?
Well, first you go see if the car's in the garage while I take a look around.
Okay.
Hey, Buzz. Shh, come here. Wait a minute.
Yeah?
Hey, look in that window out there.
Mm-hmm.
That man. He's the one who knocked me out. Oh, is that the man and the blonde woman you saw leaving McVeigh's house?
Yep. That's them.
Looks like they're having a beef. That's good. Buzz, we're going to do a little listening.
Oh, how you going to get in?
Back door. Come on.
But it's probably locked.
Yeah, could be. But if I haven't a skeleton key on my chain that'll open that door, I'm going to get a new locksmith. Now, quiet. Come on.
You didn't have to kill them both, Hank. You're a trigger-happy fool.
Will you stop harping on that? They're dead. That's all there is to it. We're rid of them, and we got the counterfeit plates. We got no more troubles, baby. From now on, it's you and me.
It is?
What do you mean?
Just that I don't have to put up with you anymore either. One word out of me and the cops will put you under the jail, Hank. That's what they do with killers, you know? I don't like you. I never did like you. But you're going to keep me in money and minks and everything I want as long as I live. Killer.
It may not be long, you little double-crossing.
Hank, put that gun away. Hank, no.
So you were going to double-cross me?
Hank, no.
So all that sweet talk was just an act?
No.
Well, here's my act, baby.
No.
Next one, touch your eye, Hank. Drop the gun. Pick it up, Buzz.
Yeah. Who are you?
Well, now, that's not very flattering. I'm Richard Rogue. But we'll talk about that later, lovely. Right now, get up against that wall, both of you. Start singing and make the lyrics cover a couple of murders. Come on, sing! Well, that was the end of that story. It all happened over a woman. Almost everything does. When I got through chatting with Sylvia, I had the whole story. McVeigh and Hank had a sweet little counterfeiting deal all set up and running smoothly. McVeigh, a master engraver, made the plates and hand-printed them in his shop in Minden. Hank wholesaled the stuff. Everything was just too divine. Until Hank moved in on McVeigh's girl, Sylvia, and got caught at it. McVeigh wanted to hire me to front for him in exposing Hank as a counterfeiter, and that's what started all of the excitement and the murders. We found the counterfeiting plate in Sylvia's Cadillac, and I collected $5,000 reward for cracking the case. I split it with Buzz. He was a happy kid. Yes, well, as I've always said, cherchez la femme, to coin a phrase. It means find the woman. And by the way, if you have any luck, cherchez one for me, too, will you? I'm feeling much better and not doing a thing tonight. You know what I mean. This is Dick Powell again, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed our story tonight. Ray Buffum wrote it. Leith Stevens composed and conducted the music, and Dee Engelbach produced and directed. But don't forget now, you've all got a date with us next Thursday night. We have a story for you about a man with $1 million, a beautiful wife, and an overpowering jealousy. We call it Best Laid Plans. So make a date with us, will you? Thanks for listening, and now here's Jim Doyle.
Don't forget to tune in again next Thursday, same time. And be sure to see Dick Powell in his newest RKO picture, Cornered, at your local theater soon. And remember, tune in again next Thursday, same time, same station, when you will again hear Dick Powell as Richard Rogue in Rogue's Gallery. Remember, if dandruff is your problem, ask for Fitch's Dandruff Remover Shampoo. It's the only shampoo made whose guarantee to remove dandruff is backed by one of the world's largest insurance firms. No other shampoo can make this statement. Ask for Fitch's Dandruff Remover Shampoo at your drug or toilet goods counter, barber or beauty shop. Fitch is spelled F-I-T-C-H.
Welcome back. Well, Rogue really just pushed around the local police. I was thinking that the way Rogue was acting, maybe the guy was in on it, but didn't turn out to be the case. Speaking of somewhat unrealistic police scenarios, got an email from Frank from the past. Adam, I'm an avid listener to your Dragnet and Great Detective podcast. I found both late and refused to hurry through them, knowing the programs that I enjoy most will someday run out. I'm up to December 2009. Therefore, I'm forever behind your current commentary, leading to this thought on a show you were finished with some time ago. I love the dialogue in Pat Novak for Hire, but it seems that every week someone bludgeons him into unconsciousness, often for a period of several hours. Afterwards, he jumps to his feet, groggy for a while and sore, but otherwise unharmed. This is one of those things scriptwriters from the 40s and 50s used a lot, along with cowboys being shot in the shoulder without much ill effect, and everybody smoking. That really reminds you of a different world. Anybody who absorbed the kind of brain trauma that Pat Novak does every week would be in much worse shape than Jocko. And I think you're definitely on point there. Clearly, when you get into the world of detectives, it really is, for the most part, you know, with the exception of some of the police procedurals, a kind of a fantasy world in regards to people being knocked out, the number of murders that occur, and perhaps even over radio and television, it's a greater fantasy than, say, in the movies and books. You know, if you have a Philip Marlowe book come out every couple of years or so, and Philip Marlowe gets bopped on the head, well, that's not so much. But if you're listening to a Richard Rogue or Pat Novak getting bopped on the head week after week. That definitely takes it to another level. But it was definitely it was another era, and it was definitely meant to be fun. I don't know if the unrealism of the amount of punishment received was necessarily confined to the 1950s. I've watched a bit of the Rockford Files, and Jim Rockford took a lot of hits. And I think on TV they did ease up a little bit on the detectives, probably just because it was hard to show as many beatings as they portrayed on the radio. Thanks, though, so much for the comment, though, Frank, and look forward to you hearing this when you get caught up to us. Rebecca shares that my favorite show is Box 13. Well, thanks, and that's definitely a good one. And, of course, that reminds me, you can email us at box13@greatdetectives.net. Well, for those of you who have the app and the premium site, we got something very special for you. It is a episode of Lux Radio Theater with our star, Dick Powell. And this gives you an idea of the type of roles he enjoyed before Murder My Sweet. This goes back to his light romantic leading man type roles, and I think you'll enjoy it. And that's available for our app which is available in the Kindle store, the Amazon App Store, the iTunes App Store, and the Android App Store. And you can subscribe to our premium site by just leaving a tip of $7 or more at greatdetectives.net. Well, that'll do it for now. Before we do get started with today's program, I want to let you know that every weekend we post one, and past few weeks it's been 2 different articles over at greatdetectives.net. And these are things I think listeners to the program would appreciate. We've got reviews of mystery books. We did the Columbo collection. A lot of Nero Wolfe. Father Brown. And then we also take a look at radio shows. Not only just detective radio shows, but other types of radio dramas, many of which are overlooked or little known in the old-time radio circles. So every weekend you can check greatdetectives.net and get another article or two about the golden age of radio, classic television, or a mystery book review. And you can also receive these articles directly, automatically, on your Kindle. And you can try that service out free for 2 weeks. Just put Great Detectives of Old Time Radio in the Amazon search box, and it'll come up for you. Well, today's episode of Let George Do It is called The Brothers McIntosh.
Personal notice. Danger's my stock and trade. If the job's too tough for you to handle, you got a job for me, George Valentine. Write full details.
Standard Oil Company of California, on behalf of independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations throughout the West, invites you to Let George Do It. The Brothers McIntosh, another adventure of George Valentine.
Dear Mr. Valentine, I am a butler in a very fancy house, though perhaps I ain't the usual type for butling. My bosses are 2 brothers, the Brothers McIntosh. I've been with them ever since I was a busboy in the first cafe they ever owned. What a joint that was. But now they're a success so big it hurts your eyes. Bill McIntosh used to be a cook, and it must have given him a sour stomach, because there's a guy what hates everybody. But I mean everybody. And it's plenty mutual. Bill's brother, the sweetest guy in the world. This Mervyn McIntosh is a prince, a real gentleman, with good words and a wide-open pocketbook for everybody. Friends? I tell you, Mr. Valentine, there's nobody who ain't. Except that is, of course, whoever is that wants to kill him. But how can you ever get
a man to admit he's in danger? When he's so big-hearted, he'd slap the devil himself on the back and say, have a cigar. That's my problem, and I need your help. Yours most sincerely, and it's signed, Jasper, butler to the brothers McIntosh.
Sounds like he thinks one of these guys is going to kill the other one, doesn't it?
Sounds like he's crazy or punch-drunk. Jasper, butler to the brothers
What's the matter, Brooksy?
George, the postmark on the letter is Harbortown.
Oh, that's important?
Well, there's been something about Harbortown lately.
Something?
Maybe this letter isn't crazy at all. I remember now. It's something Lieutenant Riley was talking about.
Riley's out of town, Valentine, but I checked up for you.
Thanks, Devlin.
There's some kind of an investigation going on down there on the QT. Small-time rackets of some kind. Nothing to do with us here in homicide.
A racket investigation, huh? I thought that happened years ago in Harbortown.
It did. They blew the lid off the place about 5 years back. Sent a big shot named Fillery to the pen.
Fillery. Oh, sure, I remember. Well, how about the name McIntosh? That mean anything? Cafe owners.
The biggest roadhouse owners in the state. At least Mervyn is. He's got a sour apple brother, I guess. Kind of got pushed out of the business. You know, that's what I don't understand.
What do you mean, Devlin?
Well, these McIntosh boys got their start at the same time Fillery went broke. Same time he was...
Well, go on. Hey, wake up. Hey, Devlin, come back to the party.
I'm here. I'm doodling on the morning traffic report.
Huh?
3:30 a.m., Sugar Canyon Road, 1949 convertible went over embankment. No explainable reason for accident. Single occupant... No, that's his brother.
It's what? Hey, what are you talking about?
You got a letter said this guy McIntosh might be killed. Here, listen. Listen to this. Car rolled over 5 times, completely demolished. Single occupant, only here's what I mean. Bill McIntosh.
Oh, I get it. Wrong guy.
Guess what, Valentine? He lived through it.
No, I don't want to see you. I don't want to see anyone. Get out of here.
Lie still, will you please, Mr. McIntosh?
That goes for you, too, Doc. I don't need all them bandages. Emergency hospital already slapped enough on me.
Mr. McIntosh, we don't mean to intrude, but your butler here, Jasper, tells me I can't see Mervyn unless I first see you.
So you want to see Mervyn?
Well, that was the original reason for coming here, but...
We don't like to bother you when you've just been in an
I'm
accident.
all right. I just got scratched up a little. Doc, you're all finished. You poked around enough.
I'm going.
You too, Jasper. Go on,
Yes,
go on.
Sir, I'll show you to the door, Doctor.
Friend of my brother's. Sucker won't even send us a bill.
Your brother seems to have lots of friends.
Maybe.
But you're not one of them.
Maybe. I know all about you, Valentine. Jasper told me about that letter he wrote you. He's an idiot.
Yeah, well, he's worried about your brother.
Follows him like a dog, the idiot. Anybody who ties strings around people or lets other people tie strings around them...
Mr. McIntosh, maybe the doctor shouldn't have left.
Nothing wrong with me. Driving alone, car flipped over. I was thrown clear. Scratches and bruises, that's all. I want to see you. I want to see anybody who hasn't been given a glad hand or a free cigar or a slap on the back. Jasper out there is worried, but he hasn't caught on yet. You don't know what I'm talking about, eh? Well, Jasper thinks my brother Mervyn is just sleeping late today.
What are you talking about?
Look, last night I answered the phone. And then Mervyn came home and went out. And then afterwards I drove and I looked and I looked. I got more and more scared at what I'd done. Mervyn keeps a cabin cruiser down in the harbor, but she was anchored in the same old spot with no lights. I looked every place, from the railroad station to Sugar Canyon.
Hey, wait a minute. Calm down, will you? Get back to that part. You got more scared at what you'd done. What had you done?
Do you understand a man having enough to drink and being scared enough that when he sees a sharp turn coming, he just plain doesn't make the turn? Just lets the car go over?
Your accident. You mean you were trying to kill yourself?
I mean, I've always hated my loudmouth brother. No, I was just excited, and I had some drinks, and I was scared, and Maybe I did. He is my brother. Abel and Cain, that's us.
You better clear this up pretty fast, Buster.
Know how to take dictation, miss?
What? Oh, yes, I do. Oh, go ahead.
A confession. Yes, a confession. To keeping quiet when I could have spoken and prevented my own brother's death.
His death?
Yes. My brother, the great Mervyn McIntosh. Friend to everybody. Well, he seems to have one enemy. A man named Fillory lost his shirt when we came to this town, and apparently it wasn't just because Mervyn had glad-handed him out of the nightclub business. Then Fillory went to prison. Why? Who knows? My brother Mervyn is honest, not a squealer. But for some reason, Fillory has threatened to kill Mervyn, not once, but 50 times.
Fillory, Go on.
Well, Fillory was released from prison yesterday. Last night, a wire came to the house from a friend telling us about it. And that's where I fit in. While I'm sitting here reading that wire, the phone rings, and a little polite voice says he'd like to see Mervyn out in a lonely place. About some business, the voice says. And then it happens. Mervyn comes home. I give him the message, but I don't show him the telegram. He leaves. I don't tell him that phony voice was really the voice of Fillory waiting to murder him. I don't know why I do it. A couple hours I just sit there and wait and sweat, but then I can't stand it any longer, so I go out looking. And I find the meeting's already taken place. And all I can find out is that Mervyn's green sedan has been seen leaving the place with Fillory in it alone. Don't you see? I let my brother walk into a trap. I let my own brother be murdered.
Take a week to find Mervyn's body in all those woods.
Yeah, it'll take you a lot longer than that to find Fillory.
Brooksy, Fillory did come in on the train, and we confirmed the part about his making the phone call. And afterwards, the kid in the service station was pretty sure of the description. Green car driving away quickly up this road.
George, certainly the police...
Well, we got a head start on the police. We might as well use it.
George, I wonder why that butler Jasper wasn't at home last night so that...
Sure. We'll ask him sometime. Hey, notice how the traffic funnels through just a few roads here.
Uh-huh.
Boy, what a town this must be when there's a parade.
You know, Fillory's had such a head start, and the highway patrol's already looking for him in the city and beyond.
Yeah. So suppose you hop on a bus and tell the rest of it to Lieutenant Devlin.
What, George?
Brooksy, the guy in a green car is supposedly running like mad across the country, only the trail dies in every direction. So maybe I got an idea. I'm going to take a little drive right around here. Up the country road right by the beach. Oyster Cove. And the green sedan parked right on the pier.
What's your trouble, Bob?
Huh? Oh, nothing. I was just wandering around. How's the fishing?
I don't know. I'm looking at boats.
Yeah, sure. Some pretty ones, all right. Say, you didn't happen to see anybody getting in or out of that car over there, the green one?
Yes, Bud. As a matter of fact, I did. Me.
You?
Me. Is that all right?
I was talking to a guy named Bill McIntosh a little earlier, and he said...
That's so. Never happened to meet the man.
Now, just slow down, Buster. You're Fillory, aren't you?
Is there a law against it? Whatever rotten branch of the law you spring from, Bud, I assure you, my parole papers are quite in order.
Not so fast.
Let go of my arm. Let go of it, I said.
Get away from those steps.
Here, what's going on? Fillory, stop that. Cut it out, both of you.
Why? You got a crew, huh?
No, just Tony, young fellow that helps me out. He's out there now getting the boat warmed up.
Who are you, chum? What's your name?
I think we can do without names on a hot day like this. I suppose you just run along, young man, and fill your feet.
Sure. You guys aren't interested in murder.
In what?
Murder? Well, if that's the case, perhaps I'd better. My name is Mervyn McIntosh. Now, what do you mean, murder?
So you are Mervyn McIntosh, and you are alive. But how did Fillory get your car?
Because I loaned it to him last night. I had to see about the boat. My cruiser out there.
He doesn't need to know that.
Oh, now, take it easy, Fillory. He's not a reporter.
He doesn't need to know any of it.
Cool off, Buster.
Fillory, please.
Show you how I cool off.
Hey, you... Oh, look what you did. He was a nice young feller. No need to
I'm
do
in a
thing.
hurry, McIntosh. I came to talk business. Remember?
Relax, will you? Wait till I find somebody to look after the boy.
Leave him there. Business, I said.
Oh, people should be friendly. Fix the boy comfortable. There we are. Now, pick up your suitcase and we'll go aboard. We're going to be friends, aren't we? Here, have a cigar.
George, where on earth have you been?
Oh, don't even ask me, Brooksy. Where all good suckers go, I guess.
But, darling, it's practically midnight and the police have been...
I don't care what's been happening. Besides an ice pack, all I care about is getting my hands on that Bill McIntosh. That crazy, hoked-up story of his about his brother being in danger, being dead.
But, George, listen to me. The police have been calling. Bill McIntosh was right.
What did you say?
The Coast Guard up near Oyster Cove. They just fished out the body of Mervyn McIntosh.
We'll return to tonight's adventure of George Valentine in just a moment. Which tire on your car is the most important one? Ask the car savers at standard stations and independent Chevron gas stations. They'll tell you the oldest, smoothest tire is most important because that's the one that will probably cause trouble first. And at any of these service stations, they'll be glad to add to your tire safety before you go out on crowded highways. They'll be glad to explain why new Atlas grip-safe tires give you extra protection. They'll show you the wider 7-rib tread of these tires with their ground-gripping edges that put more skid-resisting rubber under your car. You'll be both money and miles ahead by turning in risky tires for new Atlas grip-safe tires, because a new Atlas tire is a protected purchase. It carries a double-written warranty for 12 months, one against tire damage from any road hazard, and two for workmanship and material. And this warranty is honored on the spot by 38,000 dealers from coast to coast, many of whom are open 24 hours a day. Friends, why gamble with your own safety? Ask about new Atlas tires tomorrow. Ask at your independent Chevron gas station or standard station, where they say and mean, we take better care of your car. And now, back to tonight's adventure of George Valentine. The brothers McIntosh. One of them no one likes, and the other one called everybody in the world his friend. The only trouble is, big jovial Mervyn, whom you talked to only this afternoon, now is dead. Dead just as his brother Bill expected him to be. Dead just as their strange butler, Jasper, warned you Mervyn might be in the letter he wrote. Still, if your name is George Valentine, the case has not worked out in exactly the way you anticipated. In fact, as you return to examine the body with Lieutenant Devlin, you're convinced that nothing makes sense.
Yeah, same guy I saw, all right. Struck over the side of the head, huh?
Yeah. Coast Guard found him floating in the water of the bay. As I figured, Valentine Fillory got gypped out of his roadhouses and maybe his little rackets by the glad-hander here.
Yeah. Yeah, there might have been holes in this friendship stuff.
Of course there are. Nobody was ever as popular as this bird's supposed to have been, or as nice to everybody.
Fillory gets out of prison and kills Mervyn.
Yeah, after the big boy manages to stall Fillory at their first meeting and so suckers himself into being bumped off in an even more secluded spot.
Mm-hmm. What about the boat?
Well, it's just adrift out there someplace. All this fog and so many little bays along the coast, it'll take us a little time.
Why adrift? What makes you think Fillory isn't still aboard it?
You haven't looked back at the road at the end of the pier, have you?
Why, what do you mean? What's the... Oh, no.
Oh, yes. The green sedan isn't there. That's what happened to Fillory. He's got away again.
Well, have they checked in Arizona, the used car lots?
Valentine, stop blaming yourself for this case.
I got over that 2 days ago. I only asked you
It's
these
a police
things.
case now. Even if we haven't done any better than you did. Oh, hello, Miss Brooks.
Hello. Oh, George, about the steamer Guadalupe.
The what?
Go on, Angel. Foreign registry?
As foreign as they come, 3 miles out, and you're as safe as a seal. It's a freighter, so no questions asked.
When's she leaving?
This afternoon, 4 o'clock, Pier 73. That's the other side of Harbor Town, so there's plenty of time.
Will somebody please
You
tell
finally
me...
persuaded me Fillery's the kingpin in this case. That's all, Devlin.
What?
If he'd really planned on killing Mervyn, then he's also smart enough to have planned how to get away, how never to be caught.
Okay. Tell me the rest.
Fillery had already booked passage a couple of days ago to sail on the Guadalupe this afternoon.
Well, come on. What are we waiting
Not
for?
so fast, Devlin, not so fast. Get men down there just before 4 o'clock, but in the meantime, lay off. Stay away from the place.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Angel, you and I have to go pay a social call on the poor guy that nobody likes. Harbor Town. Great. Bottleneck streets, bottleneck murder case.
But they'll certainly be able to make Fillery talk
No,
when
they
he shows up at the boat. What'd you say?
I said no, they won't. Brooksy, this is the right street, isn't it, for McIntosh's?
Well, yeah, just up the block.
Hey,
but I...
hey, look. Just parking in front of the house there. My nemesis, the wild goose I
George.
chased. And let us park right behind. Good, that's it, Brooksy. Yeah, the green sedan, the special job.
Now, George, be careful.
Never mind. You stay behind
But
me.
you'll see you first.
I don't care. Let him. It's a 50-50 chance, Angel. And from where I sit, that's good enough. Well, hello there.
Oh, hello. You looking for me, mister?
Maybe I am. You had the car, didn't you?
Well, yeah, sure,
George,
but I...
what on earth is...
The wild goose, Angel. I finally remembered something Mervyn said about a one-man crew. About a boy who was out warming up his boat. Well, that was you, wasn't it, Buster? You're Tony, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm Tony. Look, I've always worked on that boat, only... Well, I didn't even know anything was wrong until I just read yesterday's newspaper, and Mr. Mervyn loaned me his car.
You mean you stole it, Tony? Hello, Valentine.
No, I didn't. Honest, Mr. McIntosh, your brother said that
This kid's been in trouble before, you know.
Go on, kid, you tell it.
Well, a couple of days ago, Mervyn came down to the boat at night. He'd had a meeting with some guy giving him the car. And...
Fillery?
Well, I didn't know who it was then. Just somebody who didn't want to be seen coming through the public pier at the yacht club, I figured. Anyway, Mervyn had slept on board that night, and...
Why didn't he call the house? The blasted inconsiderate...
Well, look, I didn't think he wanted anybody to know where he was or what he was doing. Next morning, he told me to pull out, and we went up the coast to Oyster Cove, where it's quiet, to pick up the same guy.
It was Fillery.
Yeah. They were going to go out fishing for a day or two, fishing and talking, I guess. Only they didn't want me along, so Mervyn, he said I could take the car for the weekend. Gee, he was like that, you know, always giving you everything. It's like I used to be in trouble, see, until he hired me.
Kid, the police of 10 states have been looking for that green car for 2 days. Where'd you take it that they couldn't find it?
It was in a garage, mister. My girlfriend's garage. Gosh, it's the first weekend we've had off together in a year.
Of course, I want to see Miss Brooks and the kid, Valentine, and we have plenty of time now that our little party at the freighter's been canceled.
What are you talking about, Devlin?
You remember that little black suitcase you saw Fillery carrying?
Yeah.
Well, something must have backfired with the jailbird's plan because the Coast Guard had finally located that cruiser.
Come on, make sense, will you?
It was dynamite. The cruiser had blown up. That's what killed Mervyn when something hit him and knocked him overboard. And guess what else, Valentine?
You got another body aboard the boat.
Yeah. At first, I thought it might have been a deckhand.
Only now you'll have to check the fingerprints
We
and find out...
already have. It's him, all right. It's Fillery. The guy whose plan to blow up Mervyn blew right up in his own face. So there you are, Valentine. The end.
Well, Bill, Fillery's dead.
Big loss, that is. Of course, I never met the man.
I wonder if your brother had him out on that boat trying to make a friend out of him.
He'd have offered the devil himself a cigar. Doesn't pay, though. Sooner or later, you reach out to pat a dog and it bites your hand off.
Yeah, I know. You don't like anybody.
I'm not apologizing.
I was wondering if you really did try to commit suicide that night.
What's that?
Well, it would have been so easy to push your car over the cliff and give yourself a few scratches and bruises and pretend that you'd done it.
Wait a minute, Valentine.
Oh, no, you don't, Buster. And don't argue with a gun.
Why,
I wouldn't trust you any further than I could throw a piano.
You're not going to shoot at me. You're not going to kill me in cold blood.
Stand still.
You're soft in the heart like Mervyn
I
was.
told you to stand still. Hey, Jasper. Get up here, Jasper.
You see, I've got a gun, too. And now you have it. What's the matter? Hurt your arm?
What do you think? I suppose when Jasper gets here, you'll
The
just...
house is empty, Valentine. You sent Miss Brooks and the kid away. And Jasper, he's a sentimentalist. He's changed his shirt by now and gone to my brother's funeral.
All right, sourpuss.
Now, you were saying something, weren't you?
No, it's the things you say. Like just now you said that you never met Fillory. I wouldn't have even noticed it if he hadn't told me exactly the same thing about you. Never met the man, he said, so maybe it's true.
Well,
it doesn't quite fit with something you said in that ridiculous confession of yours. That you recognized the voice on the telephone the other night as being the voice of Fillory.
You're a smart boy.
So that guilty remorse of yours was all fake, wasn't it?
It's a pretty good guess.
You bet it is, Buster, and I'll keep on guessing, too. You knew why Fillory got sent to prison. Maybe even planned it, sure. Sure, you were trying to duck out before Fillory and your happy-go-lucky brother ever got together to check notes.
But they got together on that boat.
Where you knew they'd be. Yeah, you're the one who made sure that boat would blow up the minute they were on board. And then you cooked up the cock and bull confession stuff. Just on the off chance the murder might be blamed on Fillory.
Shut up!
Why? You planning to pull that trigger anyway, aren't you? Get rid of me and still try to get away with it.
Try to get away with it. Fillory had a getaway plan, remember? Well, who do you think really made that plan, using his name? And who do you think they're expecting aboard that freighter at 4 o'clock? And now there's no welcoming committee either.
I might have known. Got every possibility covered, haven't you? Except maybe the clock.
It's only 10 after 3. And Pier 73 is only just the other side of Harbortown. I'll make it all right.
How? You wrecked your car.
In
You
your
can't...
car, sucker. I haven't admitted anything, have I? I told you, I'm not crazy. There won't be any evidence. And you didn't pull the trigger on me, so I won't pull it on you.
You don't mean you're going to commit a friendly act?
Valentine, I've never done anything in this world for anyone else. And I haven't asked anyone to do anything for me. My brother loved the whole town, and vice versa. And where is he? And where am I? Turn around. That's it. It shows how much friends can do for you. Now you know what a guy like me can do. Just keep the useless strings off you, and you can get all the way to China.
Get your thumb out of that horn, buddy.
I'm sorry, officer, but what's the matter with that man up there? He won't move.
And I won't let him move. Can't you see there's a funeral going by? Keep your shirt on.
But I've got to get across town, you idiot. My boat sails at 4 o'clock. I'll miss the boat.
I said cut it out. Take your hand off of that horn.
Hey, Joe, what's the matter?
Some kind of jerk, that's all. Can't stand to wait for a funeral to go by. Ever see such a crowd? It'll keep on all day. That Mervyn McIntosh was quite a guy.
How do you like that? Bill gets caught because he can't get by his brother's funeral.
George, are you sure you're all right? The doctor said...
Don't let the bandages scare you.
Valentine, I don't want to say anything, but...
But what?
Well, a guy who lets himself get beat up, knocked down, dragged...
Well, look, you got your man. You even got a screaming confession out of him. What difference does it make how he was caught?
I'll take it easy. I didn't mean to.
You want me to say I had him corralled? All I would have had to do was shoot. Why didn't I do it? Sure, I know. I'm some hero.
Darling, now please.
Well, maybe it's the kind of guy I want to be, Devlin. Not a hero, just a sucker.
Valentine, all I started out to remark was, fearless Fosdick may stop a lot of people from eating beans, but me, I wouldn't have shot either.
Good for you, darling.
Huh? Hey, what is this? She's kissing me.
If your car drags along as though you were driving on a sandy beach most of the time, it may be the fault of gummy gasoline, which is robbing your car of power. A sure way to get that new car feeling is to use Chevron Supreme gasoline. Most raw gasoline contains impurities that form power-robbing gum. Chevron Supreme is the gasoline that's super refined to remove engine-sticking gum. So to get and keep that new car feeling, ask for this premium quality gasoline. See how it gives your car new power and full mileage in the kind of driving you do. Ask for super refined Chevron Supreme gasoline tomorrow at independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations where they say and mean, we take better care of your car. Tonight's adventure of George Valentine has been brought to you by Standard of California on behalf of independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations throughout the West. Robert Bailey is starred as George. Let George Do It is written by David Victor and Jackson Gillis and directed by Don Clark. Virginia Gregg appeared as Brooksy. Ted DeCorsia was heard as Bill. Larry Dobkin as Fillory. Ed Begley as Mervyn. Ed Fields as Jasper. Pat McGeehan as Lieutenant Devlin. And Anthony Barrett as the Kid. The music was composed and presented by Eddie Dunstetter. Your announcer, John Heaston. Listen again next week, same time, same station, to Let George Do It. This is the Mutual Don Lee Broadcasting System.
Welcome back. The Whistler was one of radio's longest lasting programs. It aired from 42 to 55, and it featured stories where you would follow a murderer or an embezzler as they committed their crimes and they thought they were going to get away with it, and then a twist, and they were undone. And Jackson Gillis, who wrote for Let George Do It, wrote 7 episodes of The Whistler from 1947 to 49. And I say all that to say this episode, the ending was very Whistler-esque. This was the type of ending you would see on that program. You didn't think it mattered if people were treated well or not. You didn't give anything to anybody, and you thought it was irrelevant what your brother did, only to find yourself caught. A well-done morality tale with a strong twist here. And we do have one listener comment before we go. Adam does a great job. Really enjoy his podcast, and the videos are always a special treat. Keep up the great podcast. You are appreciated, and that comes from over on Podcast Alley. We encourage everybody to vote once a month at podcastalley.greatdetectives.net. Well, before we do get started, I want to encourage you to visit Netflix. Netflix brings you a world of entertainment, and it's what you want to watch. A listener emailed me to point out that the original Dragnet series from the 1950s, 20 episodes available on Netflix. Whatever your interest, you'll find content that interests you, either in their DVD queues or a Netflix Instant Watch. If, for example, you're a superhero fan, particularly of the Marvel sort, Netflix has added a wide variety of different incarnations of your favorite Marvel superheroes. And, of course, for those who love detective stories, whether it's Murder, She Wrote, The Rockford Files, or the 1950s Sherlock Holmes series, Netflix's Instant Watch offers a wide variety of programs for your entertainment needs. To try Netflix, go to netflix.greatdetectives.net, or if you're one of our Canadian listeners, go to netflixca.greatdetectives.net. Well, now it's time for today's episode, is the case of the Harley Street murders.
Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo present the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson and Tom Conway as Sherlock Holmes. Well, it's Monday evening again and time for the weekly visit with our good friend and host, Dr. Watson. I'm sure he's expecting us, so let's join him, shall we? Good evening, Dr. Watson.
Ah, there you are, Mr. Bell. Drop your usual chair and settle down. That's it.
Thanks, Dr. Watson. And now, how about tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure?
Well, I think it'll intrigue you, Mr. Bell, for in it, Sherlock Holmes once again crossed swords with his most famous opponent, the man whom Holmes referred to as the Napoleon of crime, the redoubtable Professor Moriarty.
And who came off best on this occasion?
Supposing you let me tell the story from the beginning, my boy, and then you can decide the matter for yourself.
All right, Dr. Watson. But before you get too far into the story tonight, perhaps I might...
Have a word with our listeners? Of course, Mr. Bell. And while you're doing that, I'll get my pipe lighted.
So many men today who use only water to keep their hair in place find that after the water dries, those stubborn hairs and cowlicks get out of place, and their hair never looks neatly groomed or attractive. Yet these men are reluctant to plaster their hair down with a heavy, greasy hairdressing. And who can blame them? That's why I urge you to try Kreml Hair Tonic. This highly specialized hair tonic has just enough light oil to keep hair handsomely groomed all day long, every hair in place. Kreml gives hair a rich, healthy-looking luster, too. Yet it never leaves hair looking or feeling greasy or sticky. This is because Kreml contains a special combination of hair grooming ingredients which is found in no other hair tonic. After you apply Kreml, just run your hand over your hair. Notice how delightfully clean your hair feels. Notice how no greasy film comes off on your hand or hatband. And how the ladies admire that natural, well-groomed look which Kreml always gives. Yes, Kreml gives your hair a handsome, clean-cut appearance, as if your barber had just combed it. And it helps keep it that way all day long. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Now, Dr. Watson, how about the case of the Harley Street murders?
Well, Mr. Bell, that story began on a December evening at the turn of the century. I had occasion to visit a certain doctor that night, I remember. And after an early dinner in Baker Street, I was able to persuade Sherlock Holmes to walk with me on my mission to nearby Harley Street. Holmes was never very keen on indulging in exercise for its own sake, and as we tramped through the frosty streets, his noticeably bad humor made me realize that I might have been wiser to have left him at home amid the material comforts of our flat. Finally, he turned to me.
We should have taken a hansom cab, Watson.
Why, Holmes? It's not more than a 10-minute walk.
A cab would have taken 3. The remaining 7 minutes might have been more profitably employed at home.
Rubbish. A brisk walk after dinner is good for a one. It aids the digestion.
My digestion is as uncomplicated as that of a horse.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been able to understand the hearty Englishman who believes that a resounding plunge into ice-cold water or running round Hyde Park on a rainy day in an attenuated pair of shorts are the obvious ways of inducing glowing health and a happy digestion. Personally, I think such asinine behavior is merely conducive to double pneumonia.
And why did you come with me?
Because you said you were going to call on Dr. Ingleby.
You're familiar with the name?
Oh, yes.
Then perhaps you'd be rather startled to learn that Dr. Ingleby is a woman.
No, Watson. I was well aware of the fact.
Oh, well, how'd you know?
Because I read an article of hers in the current medical bulletin. It was signed Sarah Ingleby, M.D. I've yet to meet a man with the Christian name of Sarah, therefore I deduce she's a woman.
Amazing deduction. Quite amazing.
But you haven't told me why you're calling on her tonight, Watson.
Well, I knew her slightly at the University of London. Nice woman, though I never can understand why a woman wants to be a doctor. Anyway, I'm on the committee for collecting a present for old Professor Taylor on his retirement. She was one of his pet students, and I'm hoping for a substantial contribution from the lady. Hello.
That was the police whistle.
Yes, and look at the crowd up there ahead.
Come on, Watson.
Come on, now, keep back there. Oh, hello. Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson. Evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
What's wrong, Lestrade?
Murder. That's what's wrong, Mr. Holmes.
Murder?
Yeah, come and look what we found at the foot of the basement steps half an hour ago. Out of the way and keep 'em back, Constable.
There you are, gentlemen. Take a look at that.
Great Scott. A well-dressed man and lying in a pool of blood.
Yeah, he was well-dressed all right when we found him. Had a nice shiny knife sticking through the third button of his waistcoat.
Has he been identified?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. He's Dr. Marsden. His consulting room is on the second floor. Must have been stabbed as he came out of the front door and then chucked down this basement.
Was he robbed?
No, sir. His wallet had 3 5-pound notes in it. They weren't touched. Nor was the gold watch and chain he was wearing.
Have you been able to unearth any clue as to motive, Inspector?
Not a blooming one, Doctor. Just been talking with his nurse. From what she says, he didn't have an enemy in the world.
No robbery, no apparent motive, no clues, eh, Lestrade? Provoking problem. Well, come on, Watson. We must be on our way.
Huh? You mean that you're going to leave?
Well, I thought this would be a case after your own heart, Mr. Holmes. I was hoping you'd give me a bit of help.
No, Lestrade, it's no concern of mine. Let Scotland Yard do its own work for once. Come on, Watson. The doctor we're interested in is alive, and a woman.
I don't think Dr. Ingleby will see you, gentlemen. She didn't tell me she's expecting anyone.
Nevertheless, my good woman, I think if you mention my name, she'll gladly give us a few moments.
Well, you can come in.
Oh, very kind of you.
What were the names again, please?
Dr. Watson and Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Who is it, Agnes? There's a Dr. Watson and a Mr. Holmes, ma'am. I told him that you weren't in the habit of receiving...
all right, Agnes. You can leave us.
Yes, ma'am.
But perhaps you remember me, Dr. Ingleby.
Yes, indeed, Dr. Watson. At the university, wasn't it? Oh, do come into the sitting room, won't you? And you, Mr. Holmes?
Thank you.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes, isn't it?
Yes, Dr. Ingleby.
I'm flattered to meet so famous a man.
Thank you, madam. And may I say how glad I am to have this opportunity of making your acquaintance.
Thank you.
I read your article in the current medical journal with intense interest. Your invention of a new type of surgical knife that applies a local anesthetic at the same time as it cuts should prove extremely valuable.
I wish the Royal College of Surgeons would agree with you, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, you've encountered opposition from them, Dr. Ingleby?
Great opposition. It seems odd that every stride in medical science should be countered by opposition of the very people it would assist. But I'm sure you haven't come here to discuss my new discovery, gentlemen.
Well, as a matter of fact, Dr. Ingleby, I'm on the committee that's raising a fund for a parting present for old Professor Taylor.
Oh.
You were a student of his, and I thought
yes, of course, I'd like to contribute, Dr. Watson. How would 10 guineas be?
Oh, that's very generous of you.
Oh, no.
It's Dr. McKenna to see you, Mum.
David, how nice to see you.
Hello, Sarah, my dear.
Oh, let me introduce you. Dr. David McKenna, Mr. Sherlock Holmes,
How do
and
you do?
Dr. Watson.
How are you, Doctor?
Did you hear about the trouble down the street, Sarah?
You mean about Dr. Marsden?
Aye.
Yes. But please don't talk about it, David. It's too awful. Oh, Dr. Watson, I'll just write that check for you now.
Thank you so much.
Dr. McKenna, it's fortunate that I met you here. I was planning to call on you in the next few days.
Surely not in my professional capacity. Your friend here is an excellent doctor.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
No, Dr. McKenna, I was curious to talk to you since I heard that you were the executor of the Galbraith Estates. Have you been having any difficulties, may I ask?
Funny you should ask me that. For the past week, I've been absolutely pestered by some confounded mathematics professor who wants to buy the Cornish property. But I'm not going to settle. I'm keeping the place in trust for the heir.
A professor of mathematics, huh? Very interesting. Tell me, Dr. McKenna, have any attempts been made on your life recently?
Well, you're positively psychic, Holmes. On Wednesday, I was nearly run down by a horse van in Welbeck Street. I swear it wasn't an accident.
Mm-hmm.
On Thursday night, I was assaulted by a footpad as I was approaching my house. Fortunately, I'm something of a boxer, and I was able to drive him away.
I see.
And only this morning, as I was walking down Deer Street, a brick came down from the roof of one of the houses and shattered to pieces at my feet.
Good Lord, you've informed the police, of course.
No, I haven't. I can take care of myself.
Then please let me warn you, Dr. McKenna. Watch yourself carefully. Until the estate is settled, receive no private visits from strangers.
Mr. Holmes, may I ask what knowledge you have of my affairs?
I'm afraid that at the moment, sir, I'm not in a position to be any more explicit. However, I repeat my warning with the utmost gravity.
Well, my soul, you're being very mysterious.
Here's your check, Dr. Watson.
Oh, thank you very much indeed, Dr. Ingleby. That's very, very kind of you.
Watson, I think we should be on our way. Good evening, Dr. Ingleby.
Good night,
Dr.
Mr.
McKenna.
Holmes.
Good night. Good night.
Holmes. Watson.
Holmes, I've never seen you so confoundedly mysterious.
Shh, listen.
Curious chap, that Sherlock Holmes. Fancy his warning me like that.
His profession. He scents murder everywhere, except under his own nose.
Extraordinary remark.
Get your coat, Watson. Let's get back to Baker Street. This is quite a three-pipe problem.
You know, Holmes, I'm suspicious of that woman. She behaved very queerly when the murder was mentioned, and that remark of hers a moment ago was very odd, too.
You're leaping to conclusions, my dear Watson. At the moment, I'm much more interested in the fact that the mysterious mathematics professor in whose path Dr. McKenna stands is undoubtedly our old friend, the professor.
Moriarty?
Right.
You think that he was connected with that murder tonight, too?
Indirectly, yes, Watson. And I fear that before we unravel this complicated skein of circumstances, several more members of the medical profession are doomed to die.
Extra, get your paper. Get your late-night final. New murders in Harley Street. Extra, late-night final. Another doctor murdered in Harley Street. Evening paper, extra. Fifth doctor slain in Harley Street. Extra, extra, get your paper.
You know, Holmes, it's extraordinary the way these medical murders are baffling the police. I expect Lestrade will be around soon to try and interest you in them again.
But I am interested, Watson.
Oh?
The crimes are wanton, apparently motiveless, yet dexterously executed. A fascinating field for speculation. But I'm even more interested in the probable next move of Professor Moriarty. I know that Dr. McKenna stands in his way. Moriarty, so I've discovered, covets the Cornish portions of the Galbraith estates.
Oh, does he?
He has certain plans connected with the caves there.
Oh, perhaps he does, but I must say that my interests lie here in London. 5 murders in a week. All of the victims are doctors. Quite frankly, I'm beginning to feel a little uneasy myself.
Quite understandable. By the way, didn't the new copy of the bulletin of the Royal College of Surgeons arrive in the post?
Yes, I just skimmed through it here. Wait a minute. Ah, there you are.
Thank you. Aha. Just as I thought. Listen to this, Watson.
Hand me the new copy of the bulletin of the Royal College of Surgeons, Carter, will you?
Here it is, Professor Moriarty.
Just as I thought, Carter. I had already concluded that these much-publicized medical murders were in all likelihood committed by a half-madman who felt himself persecuted by doctors.
Oh.
But why these particular doctors, I ask myself. Here is the answer, Carter. The names of all the murdered men are on one committee. Illuminating, Carter, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Professor.
Very illuminating.
Illuminating, Watson, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Holmes.
All the murdered men were on one committee. A committee that emphatically rejected as impractical Dr. Sarah Ingleby's invention.
Then it begins to look as if I was right in suspecting her.
Yes, old chap, it seems that your guesswork hit upon the truth. But now we have to work fast. Our first step should be obvious.
To call on Dr. McKenna, I suppose. He's the only member of that medical committee who is still living.
He is undoubtedly in grave danger. But I've warned him to be on his guard. No, Watson, our next step is to strike at the source of this deviltry. We'll call on Dr. Sarah Ingleby at once.
But you can't see the doctor, Mr. Holmes. She went out not 10 minutes ago.
Did she leave alone?
No, sir. A man came to see her. He stayed talking for half an hour, and they went out together.
Can you describe the man?
Let me see. He was very tall and thin, with an high forehead and deep-set eyes.
Professor Moriarty.
Precisely. Thank you. You've been extremely helpful.
Glad to have been of service, I'm sure, gentlemen.
What What do you suppose Moriarty has to do with Dr. Ingleby, Holmes?
I shall suppose nothing, Watson. One of the reasons that Moriarty and I have so often ended in a stalemate is that each of us is eminently capable of reconstructing the processes of the other's mind. Let me think. If I were Moriarty... Great heavens, Watson. We must act at once. Moriarty has just secured the most dangerous weapon of his entire career.
In just a moment, we'll rejoin Sherlock Holmes as he endeavors to solve the strange case of the Harley Street murders. Men, if you want to be a success and look successful in life, remember that well-groomed hair adds a great deal to a man's appearance. And one of the first requisites of handsome, healthy-looking hair is a hygienic scalp. So start at once and take better care of the hair you've got. And if you're smart, you'll use Kreml hair tonic. No other hair tonic keeps the hair more neatly in place without looking or feeling greasy. But men, Kreml does lots more than keep hair looking handsome. Kreml's light oils have a grand lubricating effect on a dry scalp. At the same time, Kreml removes itchy, loose dandruff. Notice how alive, how tingling your scalp feels. And you like to massage Kreml on your scalp because it's such a clean product. It never feels greasy or sticky. And if your hair, like so many men's, is so dry that it breaks off and falls when you comb it, Kreml actually helps condition the hair, in that it makes it feel softer, more pliable, and look as if it had some body to it. So men, for handsomely groomed hair and a more hygienic scalp, use Kreml daily. Buy a bottle of Kreml at any drugstore. Ask for an application at your barber's. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. That famous modern hair tonic which is preferred among America's top executives and most successful men. Now, Dr. Watson, you certainly had me on the edge of my chair there. What happened next?
Well, Mr. Bell, supposing I pick up my story at the exact place I left off, and Sherlock Holmes turned to me and said...
Yes, Watson. Moriarty has just secured the most dangerous weapon of his entire career. Come along.
A weapon? Oh, I don't understand, Holmes.
I warned Dr. McKenna to admit no stranger to his house, because I know that Moriarty aims at his death. But the person he is sure to admit is the woman to whom he's so obviously devoted.
Dr. Sarah Ingleby.
Yes, Watson. The pattern begins to become frighteningly clear. And if Moriarty is half the brain I know him to be, I can just imagine how devilishly persuasive he's being at this very moment.
So you see, my dear Dr. Ingleby, that your real enemy is not that committee.
But they banned the use of my new discovery, Professor Moriarty. They ruined my life's work. And so I made them pay with their own lives.
Oh, quite so, my dear. And I sympathize and admire the way you erased them. Masterly, quite masterly. But they were mere tools. It is Dr. McKenna who was behind that committee.
I can't believe that David would have done that. He told me he loved me.
All the more reason why he was jealous of your scientific attainments. He resents women in his field. He told me that himself. He planned to destroy you as a doctor.
He told you that?
That and much more that I couldn't repeat to you, my dear.
Then he must die, too.
Of course, he must.
I can't thank you enough for opening my eyes, Professor. Now I know what I must do.
But you must have steady nerves for so great a task, my dear.
Yes.
I have here some capsules of my own manufacture. I think if you'll take one, you'll find it extremely efficacious.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you. And now I shall call on David McKenna.
Dr. McKenna, you must believe me when I tell you that you're in desperate danger.
But, Mr.
Yes, yes, Doctor. That's why we came directly to you after calling on the person that we believe to be the murderer.
And who is that person, may I ask?
I'm afraid I can't answer that question for you at the moment, Dr. McKenna. Not until my strong suspicion is confirmed. I can tell you, however, that a dangerous criminal by the name of Moriarty has a new and perfect weapon in his power.
Weapon?
Yes. A lunatic whose murderous hate could be turned against you.
Well, it all sounds very melodramatic.
Well, perhaps it does, but you'll be wise to listen to my friend.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if the murderer is approaching your house now.
What?
And it's someone that you would admit unquestioningly, and who would strike you down on the spot. I must implore you to retire, Dr. McCare.
But what are you and Dr. Watson going to do?
Bait a trap. Here in your sitting room.
Oh. Very well. I suppose I'd be stupid to ignore your warning. But I wish you could be a little more specific. I'll be in my library on the first floor.
What bait are you going to use for the trap, Holmes?
You, old chap.
Huh? Me?
Yes. You're not unlike Dr. McKenna in build, and I'm sure you will have little difficulty in imitating his Scotch accent. If you sit at the writing desk here, with your back to the door, so. I'll turn down the gaslight. When Dr. McKenna's visitor arrives, I shall be in hiding behind this curtain.
And in the meanwhile?
We must wait, Watson. And I don't think we shall have to wait very long.
There's the bell now.
Yes. The maid's going to answer the door. I'll slip behind these curtains. Keep up the deception as long as you can, Watson. We want to catch her red-handed. But be careful. Undoubtedly, she's carrying a knife.
Always give me the best jobs, don't you? They're coming. All right. Come on. Who's that?
David, is that you?
Hey, sir, that's me. Excuse me, I'll just finish this letter.
You'll never finish it, David.
No, you don't.
Stop. You devil!
It's all right, Watson. I've got her out.
Oh, glad to hear it.
What kind of a trap is this?
One that has caught you very neatly, Dr. Ingleby. I'll take that knife, thank you.
You admit that you came here to kill Dr. McKenna?
Oh, of course I do. Why did you fools stop me? I'd have killed him just like I killed the others. If you could have seen their stupid faces. A knife so clean and easy. It really was surprisingly easy. I gloried in killing them.
But this last attempt wasn't your own idea, was it?
No, it wasn't. I must say I didn't believe that David was against me, too.
Then what made you change your mind?
Change mind?
Yes. Who suggested the idea to you?
It was Professor... Professor!
Confound it, she's fainted just as she was going to give us vital information. That's the trouble with women. They get so highly emotional.
That's not the trouble with this woman, Watson. She didn't faint. She's dead.
Hello, Mr. Holmes. Dr. Watson.
Good morning, Lestrade.
Good morning, Inspector.
Yeah. I thought you'd be coming around to see us at Scotland Yard before you were through. Going to crow over us, I suppose.
No, Lestrade, I have no intention of crowing. I blame myself for not having solved the case sooner.
Well, the newspapers don't blame you, Holmes. I've never seen such eulogies.
Yes, Doctor. And once again, the Yard gets all the brickbats. You should come in on the case with me when I first asked you, Mr. Holmes. Well, no good crying over spilt milk. Case is closed. Yeah, with you and Dr. Watson both hearing her confession, all that's left to do is to have a statement drawn up and have you gentlemen sign it. Too bad she went and committed suicide, though.
I still don't understand how she did it while we were holding her arms.
I quite agree, Watson. That's why I came to Scotland Yard.
Oh, you want to see the post-mortem report, don't you, Mr. Holmes? It's here on the desk somewhere. She used cyanide, you know.
Well, that's the fastest-acting poison known.
True, Watson. But I'll swear she didn't swallow anything while we were holding her. That's what puzzles me.
Here's the doctor's report, Mr. Holmes.
Enlightening. Most enlightening.
Well, why'd you say that, Mr. Holmes?
Dr. Ingleby did not commit suicide. She, too, was murdered.
Murdered? But she died in full view of us. How could she have been murdered?
Look at the post-mortem report. Something else significant besides poison was found.
Look. It says here that heavy traces of gelatine were found in the stomach.
Precisely. There's the answer.
Gelatine? But what does that prove? Merely that the woman had eaten some jellied pudding.
Yes, exactly.
But remember, gelatine is also used to coat capsules.
But that still doesn't explain how she swallowed it before our very eyes.
That's just the point, Watson. She didn't. Remember that they were extensive traces of gelatine. A capsule of extremely thick gelatine would not dissolve for some time. Obviously, Moriarty gave her the capsule. She swallowed it. And before the gelatine had melted and released the deadly poison, she had ample time to commit another murder, had we not prevented her. As ingenious and diabolical a murder as ever I encountered.
Great Scott, so Moriarty used her as a tool to kill Dr. McKenna, knowing that she herself would drop dead before she could incriminate him.
Exactly, Watson.
Well, blow me down, Mr. Holmes. Professor Moriarty's outwitted you again.
I wouldn't quite say that, Lestrade. I'd call it another stalemate.
You know, Mr. Holmes, I begin to think you're never going to catch him for us.
I refuse to share your pessimism, Inspector. This has been another stalemate, yes. But you mark my words. Moriarty's reign will not last forever. There will come a day, Lestrade. Yes, there will come a day.
Ladies, when you want to look your radiant best, you naturally want your hair to appear just as beautiful and lustrous as it can be. So here's a tip from some of the world's most divinely beautiful girls, Powers models. Girls who are famous for their enchantingly lovely silken sheen hair.
We glamour bathe our hair with Kreml shampoo. And I want to state right here and now that no other shampoo leaves the hair more sparkling clean. Really, girls, you'll be amazed how Kreml shampoo reveals all your hair's natural gleaming luster. It leaves hair shimmering with brilliant highlights that last for days.
Kreml shampoo is not a cream shampoo, not a soapless shampoo, not a harsh soap, not a drying detergent. After a Kreml shampoo, the hair fairly radiates natural glossy highlights. And Kreml shampoo never dries or breaks the hair. In fact, it even has a built-in oil base which helps keep the hair from becoming dry or brittle.
How right you are, Mr. Bell. Kreml shampoo leaves the hair so much softer, silkier, with satin smoothness. The hair holds a wave better, too.
So, ladies, buy a bottle of Kreml shampoo at any drug counter. See how easy it is to have naturally lustrous hair, a vision of shining beauty. Kreml, Kreml shampoo. And now, Dr. Watson, what about next week?
Well, now, let me see. Next week, I think I'll tell you how Holmes, by a brilliant deductive reasoning, proved that what appeared to be a simple case of accidental drowning was in reality a diabolical murder. I call it The Adventure of the Submerged Baronet.
Tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure was suggested by an incident in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Final Problem. Nigel Bruce appeared by permission of Universal International Pictures. Tom Conway through the courtesy of Eagle Lion Pictures. The Sherlock Holmes series is produced by Tom McKnight, with original music composed and conducted by Alex Steinert. This is Joseph Bell, speaking for Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo, and inviting you to be with us next week at this same time, when Dr. Watson will tell us about the adventure of the submerged baronet. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Welcome back. Well, definitely, I would agree with Holmes. This was not a win for Moriarty. It truly was a stalemate. And we say that it was a stalemate rather than a win, because even though Moriarty got away with his culpability in the Mad Doctor's actions, he ultimately didn't get what he wanted. So I think the London police would have had a hard time being able to charge him with anything for lying about what was said on the committee. Alright, well now we turn to listener comments and feedback. Our first email comes from the UK, from Carnforth, and Mick, who writes, "Been listening to The Great Detectives for quite a while now, and I love the shows. My favorites are Sherlock Holmes, Let George Do It, and Nero Wolfe. I listen to the podcast while I'm at work, and they really are making the working day a pleasure. I enjoy the commentaries at the end, as these give an interesting background on the series. Keep up the good work. It's really appreciated." And then we have another email here. This one comes from Kingston, Jamaica. Christine writes, "I'm expanding your geography of listeners. I listen to you from Kingston, Jamaica. I stumbled on your show early in January. I had fibroid surgery then, and while recuperating for 6 weeks, I got tired of reading, although I'm a lifelong bookworm. I'm a big fan of old-time mysteries, Sherlock Holmes in particular, and having listened to every episode on iTunes, I went looking for other old-time mysteries. I was really looking for Poirot, but free podcasts of Poirot are practically non-existent on iTunes, and I ended up using all kinds of search terms to find something worth listening to. I ended up at your Great Detectives of Old-Time Radio podcast and was immediately hooked. By the time I went back to work in mid-February, I had listened to almost 300 episodes. And then she began to listen to her Dragnet episodes, and the rest of this regarding Dragnets was on our last Dragnet show. I was glad to see, she does add at the end, I was glad to see Box 13 end. I kept hoping someone would bump off Dan Olady. That fool kept asking for trouble like he had a death wish or something. Well, I can understand the perspective. It was considered heroic at the time. And indeed, one of the private eye websites, thrillingdetective.com, defines the private eye as someone for whom trouble is their business. And Dan Olady definitely went to some ends to make sure it was. She also asked a question about the Abbotts. I absolutely love the music at the end of each episode of the Abbotts. I think you may have said the name composer of the piece, but I can't find which show you mentioned it. Would you mind saying again? It is such a beautiful piece of music. Well, thanks so much. I don't believe I had said, because I didn't know, but when I was thinking about this question, I thought, I've heard this song outside of the Adventures of the Abbotts. And I remembered I'd heard it on the Railroad Hour, which was a program that ran on the radio from 1948 to 54. And what they did is they brought Broadway musicals, operettas, and even created musical versions of stories that aren't traditionally considered musicals, brought them to the radio. And I did some searching, and this was from The New Moon. The original tune to this song, the title is actually Wanting You. It was from the operetta New Moon, and it was by Sigmund Romberg, wrote the music and the lyrics by Oscar Hammerstein II. And I debated playing the Railroad Hour singing of it, but I knew that some listeners might not appreciate having a 2-minute love song put on to the end of the show. But we will go ahead and play a bit of the music from the Adventures of the Abbotts as we wrap up today. Well, that will actually do it for today. Well, before we get started with today's episode, I want to remind you, as you prepare to make your travel plans for the fall, wherever you might be going, remember JohnnyDollarAir.com. JohnnyDollarAir.com is powered by Priceline. So it means that you can choose from either published specials or you can name your own price on hotels, rental cars, airline tickets, and several other travel options. So you can save money and support the great detectives of old time radio. Remember, when you start making your travel plans, remember the name JohnnyDollarAir.com first. Now it's time for today's episode, The Protection Matter.
Bing Crosby has been on his summer holiday, but beginning October 3rd, Bing and his crew will return to this, their regular time. So join in the fun with Bing Crosby at this time next Wednesday, October 3rd. From Hollywood, it's time now for Edmund O'Brien as...
Johnny Dollar.
Philip Martin, Johnny.
Fine, what have you got for me?
Mr. Benny Waxman's insured with Columbia.
When did he die and what's wrong with the way he did it?
He's very much alive and his business isn't. He owns Delicatessen. We insure that too. It's burned out.
When did it happen?
Last night. We don't know whether Waxman did it himself, but the fire department said it was started deliberately.
Police holding Waxman?
Not yet. No evidence. Better get down here and I'll give you everything we've got.
I'm yours after a shave and a shower.
Edmund O'Brien in a transcribed adventure of the man with the action-packed expense account. America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, Columbia All Risk Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the protection matter. Expense account item 1, $32.56, train fare and incidentals between Hartford and New York City after I received from you the necessary information concerning Benny Waxman. I arrived in New York at 3:30 in the afternoon and made my way through a heavy rain to 1078 East 105th, where I found Benny Waxman in a small apartment. Lieutenant Parkinson of the 15th Precinct was there also.
Yeah, Mr. Waxman's in. What do you want him for?
Johnny Dollar, I represent Columbia All Risk.
Insurance?
On Waxman's store.
Who is it?
Guy named Dollar from the insurance company. Come on in, Dollar.
The insurance company?
Yeah, you know, the reason you started the fire.
I had nothing to do with it. I keep telling you.
Over and over he keeps telling me, and over I keep telling him he's a liar.
A liar I'm not.
My name's Johnny Dollar, Mr. Waxman.
How do you do?
I can't pin it on him yet. Some kind of a bomb.
I ain't got no store anymore.
Yeah, sure he ain't. Like the stuff they used in the war. Not a big explosion. Nobody heard an explosion. When it went off, it burned good.
Incendiary?
Yeah. Don't know how he got it, but we'll trace it.
Incendiary? Of course you don't know how I got it. I didn't get it.
How much was the place insured?
$20,000.
You're not going to get it, Waxman.
Look, Lieutenant, I don't care no more. I don't care. Do you hear me?
You will. I'll make you care.
I didn't start it.
There was a man killed in that fire.
What?
I didn't start it. I didn't kill nobody. I wouldn't.
People lived over the store, 3 apartments. An old man didn't get out. Your company won't have to pay a red cent, Dollar, because I'm going to prove Waxman started it.
Why would I burn down my store? I make a good living.
Tell Mr. Dollar how much money you've got in the bank. You hear me, Waxman?
$600.
That's not much for a guy who makes a good living, is it, Mr. Dollar?
I told you a dozen times.
He told me he gave $5,000 to his daughter.
It's the truth.
Check the daughter?
That's a little tough. We can't find her. Used to live here with her papa, but she's just disappeared, and papa doesn't know where she went. Do you, papa?
She went on a trip, Mr. Dollar.
A vacation?
Yeah, I gave her the $5,000 for a vacation.
And he doesn't have any idea where she...
I don't know where she went.
He just gave her $5,000 for a little vacation. It broke him, but his daughter needed a little vacation.
I don't care anymore. I tell you, I don't care. Mr. Dollar, tell your company I don't want the insurance money.
You don't get out that easy.
I don't want out for nothing.
Look, you're on a spot. You figured it was a cinch. So many guys like you, Waxman, figure it's a cinch and forget about guys like me. I want you for a fire and a killing, and I'm going to get you.
I'll say it forever. I did not do it. I'll say it till they take me to my grave.
That doesn't give you much time. Well, I've got to be going.
I'd like to look at that report, Lieutenant.
Yeah, sure. Come along.
No, I'll check with you later. I want to talk to Waxman.
Sure, 15th Precinct. I'll be around until they find out where he got that bomb.
Right.
You're loose till I get something, Waxman, but do me a favor, huh?
What is it?
Try and leave town. I'd love it. See you later.
Yeah.
Mr. Dollar, go back and tell your company to forget it. I don't want the insurance money.
If you didn't have anything to do with the fire, you're entitled to it.
I'm going to leave this town when I can. Open a business somewhere else.
Another city if I'm lucky.
If you're not guilty, why not take the money?
Because I cannot prove I am innocent.
What are you afraid of?
What?
I said, what are you afraid of? It's pretty obvious you're afraid of something.
I'm not afraid. I'm nervous. Policemen, the fire, and everything.
That $5,000 for a vacation is pretty weak.
Oh, please, Mr. Dollar, I let your company out of all the claims. They don't have to pay me nothing. Now, please, don't ask me any more questions.
That cop's out to get you.
Look, the law I believe in. If they convict me of something I did not do, then perhaps it is in payment for something I did to break the law.
What?
I can't explain. Now, please, Mr. Dollar.
Okay. Look, Mr. Waxman.
Good day, Mr. Dollar.
I hadn't noticed. I left the building and went out on the street. The rain was coming down harder, so I turned up my collar and started to walk. I couldn't stop thinking about Benny Waxman and his crazy, mixed-up story. A guy who burns down his store with an incendiary bomb is smart enough to have a better story. The $5,000 he'd given his daughter for a vacation, that was wrong. Making himself look guilty by telling me to forget the claim, that was wrong. He was scared, not of Parkinson or me, but of something that was mixing up his reason. Maybe I was wrong, too, but I was going to find out. The 15th precinct was on Madison. Lieutenant Parkinson was in his office.
Hello, Dollar. You look wet.
I walked.
I'll take off your coat.
Thanks.
Well, sit down.
Thank you.
Did you have a talk with Waxman?
Nothing I couldn't tell you in 5 seconds.
Yeah? What do you think?
I'm surprised.
With what?
I didn't come here to insult you.
You think he's innocent?
I think there's a lot more to it than just a fire and a killing.
Isn't there always?
I think he's scared stiff.
So do I.
A guy who starts a fire...
has a better alibi. You want some coffee?
Yeah, sounds good.
That should be. My wife gave me the electric pot so I could have my coffee on duty. Says I drink too much of it, but she gave it to me anyway. Here you are. Waxman didn't start that fire. Is that strong enough?
Tastes pretty good.
Guys who burn down their business do it 2 or 3 different ways.
Not with an incendiary bomb.
I've got to ride him. I tried to be nice to him, tried to get it out of him, but he's too scared.
Of what?
Well, now I have to guess. There's a protection racket here that covers every independent store in the city. It's the tightest, best controlled organization I've run up against. So tight that we've been trying to break it for a year. 2 other stores have gone up this way, but the owners are so scared they won't say a thing.
Scared for their families?
It's the best thing to be scared for.
Waxman's daughter.
Yeah. I don't know how she fits. I don't know how the $5,000 fits.
What do you expect to gain by making him look guilty?
A long shot. He won't say anything, but maybe one of his friends will. Maybe they'll say something.
If they've been scared this long,
He's got one friend, a very close one, Angelino Giuseppe.
Business?
Yeah, delicatessen like Waxman. Angelino hasn't got a family, but he got beat up last year. Wouldn't make a complaint. He's scared, too. But he's only got himself to worry about. Maybe if he thinks his best friend is in line for a murder rap, he'll give us something to go on.
Why don't you arrest Waxman? Make it look like he's really in trouble.
Yeah, I'll do that when I have to. I think his daughter is mixed up in it some way. Most of her clothes are still in the apartment. Maybe Waxman will be contacted. I want to be around when he is.
Kidnapping?
I don't know, Dollar. But a gang that can put this much fear into people might do anything. Waxman's been beat up a couple of times himself, never pressed charges, but he's been pretty indignant. From what I can find out about him, he's not the type to pay for protection. Became a citizen 2 years ago and believes in what he had to learn to become a citizen.
Well, maybe the $5,000 went to the gang.
Yeah, it's possible. His daughter only got in town a month ago. Before, they could only work him over. With the daughter here...
But if he paid them the $5,000, why burn down his store?
I've only been guessing. I haven't got the answers. Oh, excuse me. Parkinson. Yeah. Yeah, I know you. Okay. How do you like that?
What?
It paid off. That was Angelino Giuseppe. He wants to see me.
Great.
You want to come along?
Yeah, sure. Hey, you make pretty good coffee, Lieutenant.
I get lucky sometimes.
We left the precinct and grabbed a cab. Parkinson didn't want an official car in case somebody should be watching Angelino. We cut across town, and 20 minutes later, we were walking through the front door of Angelino's Delicatessen. A small, broad little man with a bald head moved around the counter and walked up to see us.
Hello, Lieutenant. Hello, Angie.
New man?
Johnny Dollar, insurance investigator.
Mr. Dollar?
Hello, Mr. Giuseppe.
What do you want to see me for, Angie?
Well, it's about Benny.
Oh, what about Benny?
You gonna arrest him?
That's right.
You think he burned down his own store?
I know he did.
What about you, Mr. Dollar? Do you think Benny burned down his store and killed that man upstairs?
I've seen the evidence, Mr. Giuseppe. I think so.
You bring me all the way over to ask me that, Angie?
No, Lieutenant. Look, if I tell you something that maybe shows you that Benny don't burn down his store...
What?
Well, it's maybe going to make a lot of trouble for a lot of nice people.
They'll get protection.
I could get killed.
Not while I'm around, Angie.
Well,
Come on, Angie. If you got something, give it to me. I was on my way over to pick up Benny. Now, if you've got anything that can save him, let's have it.
Well, I can't prove that Benny did not burn down his place, but I think I can tell you who did.
Who?
Them guys. Them guys who come around once a week and collect the dough.
Tell me about them.
Well, you remember when I got beat up last year?
Yeah.
Them guys have done it. They make us all pay them protection. And if we don't, we get beat up or our families...
Who are they, Angie?
Well, I don't know their names.
What's the matter?
You better get out.
Two guys crossing the street.
Yeah, that's them. You better get out. They got the guns.
Those are the guys who beat you up?
Yes, the police. So look, you better get out.
All right, now listen to me, Angie. Act like we're customers.
But they got the guns.
Do what I tell you. Dollar.
I'm all right.
Okay, here they come. Now try to act like nothing's wrong, Angie.
Okay. I try, only...
And give me about 8 slices of the Swiss there, will you?
All right.
Angie.
Oh, yeah, I'll be right with you.
Just the envelope. We don't want no cold cut.
Hello, Red.
Cop. Look out. Oh, no.
Parkinson.
What about Angie?
I told you.
Shut up. Get an ambulance.
Ambulance?
The phone, you idiot. Step on it. Come on.
All right.
How is it? Is it bad? Parkinson, is it bad?
I can't feel much. Must be.
Let me look.
What about the two?
They've had it.
Give me an ambulance.
Listen.
Hurry up.
One with red hair.
Yeah?
Name's Dillon. Used to work for Dutch Fisher.
Hello.
Dutch Fisher.
Listen, I got
Help
to have
send
an
him
ambulance.
up.
87
He isn't the...
95th Street.
And
Yes.
Yeah?
95th.
got to get
Hurry up.
whoever
No. It was a
sent.
shooting.
Parkinson.
The ambulance is he...
Yeah. It sure is.
We'll return you to yours truly, Johnny Dollar, in just a moment. Beginning next week, listen for Edmund O'Brien as yours truly, Johnny Dollar, Saturday nights on most of these stations. At this time, next Wednesday, the great Bing Crosby Show returns to most of these same stations, with Jane Wyman as Bing's first guest of the season. Another premiere next Wednesday, The Red Skelton Show will also be back on CBS Radio. Remember, starting a week from tonight, Bing Crosby returns to his usual time, and Red Skelton moves his lunacies to Wednesday on CBS Radio. Now, with our star Edmund O'Brien, we bring you the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
It was still raining when they carried the lieutenant out. I explained everything to a nice young cop named Brenner's. Angelino and I got into Brenner's car and headed for the 15th precinct.
How long had you known Parkinson?
I just met him a few hours ago.
Yeah, we've been trying to crack this protection racket for a year. Looks like maybe we've started.
The hard way.
Yeah. I'll need your statement, Tom.
Sure.
I'm scared. I'm really scared.
Nothing to worry about, Mr. Giuseppe. We'll give you all the protection.
Protection?
Yeah, I guarantee it.
For me?
Sure.
Well, what about all the other people? All of my friends? Well, what about the Benny?
Parkinson didn't think Benny started that fire.
I know. I was assigned to check on the bomb.
Why do you think we intercepted nothing before, huh? Because they threaten us. They threaten my friends. They tell them if they say anything, they're going to hurt their family.
What about the bar?
Nothing. Didn't have much to go on in the first place.
You lied. The lieutenant lied. He told me Benny wasn't going to be arrested. That's why I was going to tell him about those guys that beat me off.
Somebody had to talk, Andy.
Oh, sure. I talk, and look what happened. What do you think is going to happen to Benny now because I talked, huh? They got his adult. I ain't going to tell you nothing more.
What about Benny's daughter, Angie?
No. I ain't going to get to nobody in no more trouble.
The trouble's happened, Angie.
Well, I don't care.
If they're going to make it tough on Benny, they'll do it now.
Just because I called the lieutenant. Just because I want to help Benny.
The only way you can help Benny now is to tell us what you know.
No. There are too many other people. My friends.
Yeah, and we can save them. Tell us what you know, and we'll get the people who make the trouble.
No.
Okay. When they drag Benny's daughter out of the river, I hope you think about it.
Well, you think I want it? You think I want to see Benny's little girl? Look, I got to think about all the others.
Listen. You think this won't happen again if we don't get the men behind this?
I don't know.
Look, Angie, you got beat up last year. Benny got beat up twice. Stores have been ruined. Benny's place was bombed, and an old man burned to death upstairs.
Well,
Parkinson and 2 killers are on their way to the morgue. Every one of you kept your mouths shut for a year, and look what's happened. You think it's going to get better?
Okay.
What about Benny's daughter?
They got her.
Who?
I don't know. The only ones I ever saw were the 2 guys who got killed a little while ago. Benny came over to my place one night. He was in an awful condition. He was crying. He said they had to tell somebody. They got his Louisa.
Did he say why they got her?
Benny hated them. He didn't ever pay them any money, so they beat him up twice, but he still didn't pay them. He said they didn't have no right, but he wouldn't go to the police because he was scared for me and my friends. Then Louisa came here from Detroit to Michigan, and they took her and made him pay $5,000 to get her back.
Why did they burn down his store?
To teach the rest of us a lesson. Those 2 guys who were killed, that's what they said. They said if I didn't pay them every week, that would happen to me and anybody else that didn't pay them.
Did they send Benny's daughter back to him?
Tonight they were supposed to send her back to him. Will they? Do you think that they will now?
I don't know. Drove our way over the wet pavements that reflected the sun as it sank into the river behind us. At the precinct, Brenner's got our statements and took me down to the mug file to look at pictures of Red Dillon and his partner.
That's Dillon.
1, 2, 3. 6 arrests, 2 convictions, 1 in this state.
Kansas City import?
Yeah, most of the arrests that city. That boy.
I don't know anything about the other guy. I think he's new.
When will you get a report?
That shouldn't be long.
Parkinson said Dillon used to work for Dutch Fisher.
Yeah. Here's Fisher's package.
He's still doing time.
Yeah. Convicted June 1943. Sentenced to state prison July same year. 10 to 20. Armed robbery.
That's him, all right.
Branners. Yeah. Lou Fleischman? Oh, okay. FBI kickback, Thanks. That's the other one.
Lou Fleischman. That name's on Fisher's card.
Yeah?
Convicted with Lou Fleischman.
Wait a minute. Remember that rat Fisher got sent up on? The big payroll job. Here it is. Lou Fleischman. Convicted 1943, 5 to 10. Released July 26, 1951. No wonder I thought he was a new boy.
Looks like the gang stuck together.
There was somebody else in that holdup. Had an alibi, if I remember. Never pinned it on him.
Might be our boy.
I can't remember him.
He should be easy to check.
Well, let's find out.
It was beginning to fit. The 2 strong-arm boys had worked together in Kansas City for a man named Dutch Fisher, who was still doing time, and there was a 4th member of the gang still unaccounted for. In a half hour, Brenner's had the information.
His name's Biolotti. I remember now. George Biolotti.
We took the information down to the mug file and dug out the package on George Biolotti, the 4th member of the Dutch Fisher gang. Brenner's took one look at his picture, and his mouth fell open.
Well, I'll be...
What's wrong?
George Biolotti.
What about him?
He's in this city. I know him.
Well, let's go talk to him.
No.
Now, look. Benny's daughter is still missing. That remark I made about the river could become a fact.
George Biolotti is George Bivens. That's the name I know him by. Came to this town about 7 years ago. Runs a respectable nightclub.
Then pick him up.
On what?
Suspicion.
He's clean in this town.
Well, you've certainly got enough in this record to have a talk to him. There isn't much time.
If we pick him up, that girl won't live 5 minutes.
Yeah. Where's his nightclub?
52nd Street, the Yellow Parrot. Why?
Well, somebody's got to talk to him. And in your official capacity, you'd never get the answers you wanted.
What makes you think he'll give them to you?
Because I kind of liked Lieutenant Parkinson.
Yeah, something you want?
Yeah, George Bivens.
Got an appointment?
No?
Who are you?
Johnny Dollar. Now tell Bivens I want to see him.
Sorry, you gotta have an appointment.
I'm going to spoil if I stand around much longer.
Spoil rotten for all I care. You ain't gonna see Bivens.
You get excited like this all the time?
Yeah.
You'll ruin your stomach.
I don't think so.
You don't? Skeptic. Hey, you at the piano. Which way do I go to find Bivens? Thanks.
Who are you?
Name's Dollar.
What do you want? How'd you get by Ziggy?
He's tied up with a stomach ache.
Oh?
Swallowed a fist.
Okay, you get rough. What else do you do?
Find out things? Cop? I'll make this quick, Bivens, because I have to. Red Dillon and Lou Fleischman are pretty dead.
Yeah? Who are they?
You worked with them in Kansas City in 43.
I did? I forget.
Dillon, Fleischman, and Fisher. Together you pulled a fancy payroll robbery.
The law didn't think so.
Lieutenant Parkinson was shot to death by Dillon.
Is that all?
Not quite.
Well, get it off your chest. I'm busy.
Dillon and Fleischman were working a protection racket.
Look,
They were just the collectors.
I've had about enough of this. I'm going to throw you out.
That's just what I want. Now get up.
What do you think you're doing?
I'm going to show you. You got Benny Waxman's daughter.
What are you talking about?
Sue me if I made a mistake. You've got his daughter.
You're crazy. Why, you...
Your two boys killed Parkinson and burned down Benny's store.
I don't know what you know...
Stand up.
You busted my nose.
You've been beating up a lot of nice little people for a year now. That nose is just a down payment.
If you think you can bust in here and go...
You know, you keep falling down. You better sit in a chair. Now listen to me, Bevins. I'm in a nasty mood. Besides all the other people getting pushed around, your boys tried for me, too.
You're crazy.
I'm behind schedule. The cops can't book you, and I'm not going to let you kill that girl to save your dirty neck. Now, where is she?
I don't know where she is.
Please believe me, Bivens.
Dollar. Look, I got friends. They'll take care of you.
Who's going to tell them to do it?
I am.
With your mouth swollen shut? Come on, Bivens. Where is she?
I don't know.
Where? Where?
Warehouse. 14th Street Dock.
What warehouse? All right.
No. Rogers and Sons. Big sign on the top.
Police department, please. Don't you know it's not polite to listen, Bivens?
What do you want me to do?
Go to sleep. I gave Sergeant Brenners what I had, and he told me he'd meet me at the warehouse. But in the meantime, he'd sent over for Bivens. He was as good as his word, for in less than 3 minutes, radio patrolmen were taking charge of Bivens and his entourage. The place looked like a police lineup when I left and headed for the warehouse. It was getting late when my cab pulled up near the river, and a cold wind was moving in from the Atlantic. Brenners got there a few minutes later, and he staked out his men.
If the girl isn't there, I'd hate to go in the front door.
Let's go in a window. I'm a second-story man at heart, anyway.
How'd you ever get Bivens to talk?
He'll tell you about it. He's bound to.
He'd make a lousy cop.
Brenners gave his men orders, then we went looking for a weak window. We found one in the back, crawled through, and dropped down on the dark, cold pavement inside the warehouse. I could hear a radio from somewhere towards the front of the building, so we picked our way along the wall until we found a flight of stairs and climbed up to the main floor. We opened a door and listened.
Hey, you getting cold?
Yeah.
I wish Bivens would call and tell us what to do with this dame.
We kept going, moving as quietly as possible until we saw them. 2 men sitting in a small storeroom. The door was open. We could see the girl, tied and gagged. It wasn't going to be easy.
There's an understatement. How do we get them away from the girl?
Make a noise. Bring them out to see what it is.
Okay. We better separate.
You get on that side so we get them between us. I want to shoot into that office.
Right.
Give it about 10 seconds and then push one of those crates over.
I'm getting hungry, too.
Now, relax. Hey. You hear something?
Look who's telling who to relax. I didn't hear nothing.
I'm getting the jumps. We've been in this dump for 3 days now. What was that? You gonna tell me I'm hearing things now?
Somebody's out there.
Yeah, kill the light.
What do we do?
Shut up.
But this dang kidnapping, that's...
Shut up. Yeah, maybe it's nothing. Maybe a cat or a rat or something, huh?
Let's get out of here. Let's forget the dam and get out.
I told you to keep your face shut. Now, come on, let's see what it was.
Maybe it's the cops.
Something was wrong. Bivens would have called, wouldn't he?
Or maybe he couldn't. Maybe they got him.
Ah, nuts. Come on.
I don't see nothing. It's too dark.
There's a crate.
Drop 'em, boys.
Guns!
This one's dead.
Yeah, the other one's on his way.
Well, let's go get the girl. Benny's worried enough. We took Benny's daughter back to her father, and he confirmed the story that Angie had told us. Angie was sent home, and the last I heard, the store owners who had been paying protection to Bivens were planning the biggest block party since the Boston tea caper. Expense account item 2, $20.80 for 2 dinners. Brenner's was nearly as hungry as I was. Item 3, $16, flowers for Lieutenant Parkinson's funeral. And item 4, same as item 1, fare and incidentals between New York and Hartford. Expense account total, $101.92. And the next time you send me out on a simple little insurance fire, make sure it's really simple. I don't mind helping people out occasionally, but I'm too old and too underpaid to go back to being a Boy Scout. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, stars Edmund O'Brien in the title role and was written by Blake Edwards with music by Eddie Dunstetter. Edmund O'Brien can now be seen starring in the Paramount Pictures production Warpath. Featured in tonight's cast were Joel Samuels, Bill Conrad, Sidney Miller, Jay Novello, and Ray Hartman. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is transcribed in Hollywood by Jaime Del Valle. Beginning next week, October 6th, Johnny Dollar will be heard on Saturdays at a new time. This is Dan Cubberly inviting you to be with us on Saturday, October 6th, when Edmund O'Brien returns as...
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Our country needs the help of every citizen. Defense bonds provide that help. They help to make America strong financially. They help to curb inflation. They make the individual family more secure. Defense bonds strengthen the military front, the production front, and the economic front. And just as important, buying United States defense bonds helps you by providing you with a safe, sound, profitable investment. Don't forget, defense is your job, too. Buy United States defense bonds today. Strike a blow for freedom. Join the crusade for freedom to get the truth to people behind the Iron Curtain. As long as they're kept in ignorance, the tense world situation may not improve. Support the crusade for freedom with funds for freedom. Stay tuned now for the Virgil Akins-Freddie Dawson fight, which follows immediately over most of these same stations.
Welcome back. Well, this was another top-notch script turned in by Blake Edwards here. And I think this is noteworthy because often in many of these O'Brien Johnny Dollar episodes, I think there have been at least 2 or 3, a police officer working with Johnny gets killed. And because the other writers, they didn't really work to give us a connection to the character, we didn't really know, okay, how should we feel about it. Bad that he died, but we don't really have any relation to him as a character. They did a really good job, I think, getting us engaged and interested in what this particular lieutenant was doing. That it did make us care, and it also made us sympathize with Johnny to a degree when he used, shall we say, enhanced interrogation measures on the gang boss. But well written, and we'll look forward to the rest of the Blake Edwards written episodes in particular. Alright, well, we now have listener comments and feedback. A question comes here from Steve in Nevada, who says, I just received an iPod from my son, been downloading Dragnet and Johnny Dollar. Will you be getting any Johnny Dollar episodes with Bob Bailey? Please let me know. Keep up the good work. Thanks so much, Steve. Because we're working through these episodes in the order that they aired, we still have a ways to go. I think we have less than 2 years now, a little less than 2 years now until we get into the Bob Bailey Johnny Dollar episodes. We still have the John Lunn episodes ahead, and we've got 10 more of the Edmund O'Brien episodes. So Bailey's a little bit off. Of course, we're doing Bob Bailey episode, Let George Do It, on Wednesdays. And we've got a nice comment on Podcast Alley. Great podcast. Listen every day. Well, thanks so much for all your support and comments. We will be back on Monday with an episode of Barrie Craig, Confidential Investigator. And then be sure to join us next Friday for yours truly, Johnny Dollar. In the meanwhile, send your comments to box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives. And you can give us a call, 208-991-4783. But from Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.